continue as planned, no changes, which means the Bengals will host the Baltimore Ravens here
All
at
right,
Hayden
guys. It's
at a
another
time of
Tuesday. That means it's
Sunday.
time for the big three.
Coaches and things
What's
like
going
this
on,
go
everybody? Dylan and Jordan, how you doing?
Good. How's everybody doing today?
there is a balance of trying to
Good.
Good, man. First show of our show of the new
Yeah,
year.
first show of the new year.
I know me and Kyle had the Chief Keys podcast with Gene and Brian. That show went well. Yeah, it's always a problem with this show. My TV is always loud.
It's all right.
But yeah, I'm doing good, man. Just
All right, what's up,
chilling, man.
Gene in the comments? What's going on?
Yeah.
Wait, I didn't even know. You good, Dylan? How's everything?
Yeah, doing good. You're doing good. Yeah, just first show of the new year. I'm excited.
How's
I had
how's my audio? Does it sound clear? Okay.
yeah, your audio sounds
All
good.
right,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, excited for first show of the new year. Got a big year ahead of us. So hopefully start off good. Start off good new
Yeah.
year.
Definitely. So normally, we talk MLB to start off the show, but MLB's kind of in a dead period right now. Not really much to talk about. The Red Sox did agree to like a 1-year thing with Devers to avoid arbitration, but that's not really that big of a deal. If I see he gets extended like 10 years, 300 million, then we got something to talk about. A 1-year deal, I don't really care. So with that, we could jump into NBA. Donovan Mitchell's kind of the man of the hour, dropping 71 randomly last night.
And nigga randomly drug tested too. but that comes with every player, I guess. Scores.
If you were thinking of a player who would drop 70 this year, you might have thought.
I don't know how.
First. I don't know. Maybe a Clay random night.
But he got he had like 71.
50.
He had 71. He had 71 and 10 last night, right? 10 assists or 10 rebounds.
Oh, it was 71, like 8 and 9 or
Yeah,
something.
something like
It was something like that. He didn't hit a double in anything but points, but still, 71 points. 71 points is fine enough. Game went to overtime. It was a good game.
He had the same as that kind of nostalgia kind of layup or kind of free throw, lucky bounce back thing, just like Luka did. So kind of like that retro from like the other week.
Yeah.
I don't know how he got that ball off. I saw the highlight, like he shot it. I guess he intentionally tried to miss it. He got it. I don't know how he got it. I don't know. But Donovan Mitchell, he's that man.
What's going on, Dre?
But like you said, at a guys that other than Luka, maybe LeBron. Well, he got like 40 something, like on his 38. Yeah, like 40 something. On his 38th birthday, had 10 boards, I think.
Man, everyone's dropping big buckets on my team, and it's just upsetting. LeBron had a 40 piece. Clay had 50. Like, it's not a good time being a Hawks fan right now.
I'm glad you brought that up. I'll talk about the Hawks here in a little bit because, I have some thoughts on them.
What's up, Dre?
So Donovan Mitchell does that, and I think what it shows, it was kind of the reason why I thought the move was good for Cleveland, is that Cleveland defensively, they have their guys and they're pretty good. And what Mitchell can bring them is a guy who, if they need a bucket, he can get it. Now, of course, he's not going to drop 70, 60, 50 every night, but certain nights when, the offense may not be rolling and they just need him to go off, he can at least do that. And maybe that's something that Knicks fans ultimately come to hate about them not making that trade, but that kind of makes Cleveland dangerous. If Mitchell has a few of these games in a playoff series, you could be in some serious trouble. But
yeah,
it's interesting. Very interesting.
Well, we saw Donovan Mitchell be like kind of a menace with Utah when he came into that bubble series. Like he was like going crazy. Like, I guess you could put the quotation marks around it because it was the bubble. But like, with that being said, he was doing some like things that was like and it wasn't even just the bubble series, even like playoffs, like even outside of that, he was going crazy, dropping 50 points, 40 points. So it's not like this isn't new for Donovan Mitchell. He's one of those guys, like, if he can get going, he can get going. And this Cavs roster has good enough talent around him to where, like, it's not relied on as much. But when it happens, it makes the team even, like, feel scarier.
Yeah, I think
Especially
that,
with how young they are, too.
definitely. And a lot of times the issues in Utah, it was, playoff series, come down late game situations, and the offense was strictly Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah.
And, if he made a drive, missed a shot or something, it just seemed like Utah didn't really know what to do to counter that if defenses started keying in on them. At least in Cleveland, you got Garland, you got Allen and Mobley, and there's like other pieces around that you feel like you're confident in, offensively, that, if he kicks it out to somebody, they can make a play.
Greg.
Utah, I mean, it was fun while it lasted early in the season with Utah, but
Yeah. Utah had their cute little run, and then
He's a big Gobert hater, so he
the
never liked
French-
Utah.
the French fry.
I feel like it's not that hard to find a lot of people that don't like Gobert.
Nah,
'Cause his
it's,
game
it's
is
just his
like-
attitude. It's his attitude.
He's
too.
the one that called the freaking COVID NBA stoppage.
Yeah,
so.
how he treated everything. It's like
Like, he never
it's not
cares.
that hard not to like him. He kind of made an enemy of himself.
That's what I'm saying.
Big hate, exactly.
I'm sure there's a lot of people who join him with that. Let's see. What else are we going to talk about? Oh, Zion. You mentioned this
Yeah.
before the show. Out for at least 3 weeks.
I mean, it's not. I mean, I think are they still first in the conference?
They're fighting in that area. I'm not sure if they're still first.
They're
But
I mean, 3 weeks is not as bad. I mean, yeah, it's long, but at least not like a couple months,
I think the
But-
worry is he's talking about hamstring strain. And for a big guy who relies on athleticism, getting above the rim, lower body injuries, I feel like there's a reason to worry, especially with his past injury history as well.
With past injury, wasn't it his like ankle or leg?
I'm just saying it's always like lower body. And for him, he relies so much on being able to go above the rim and just be that much more athletic than the person that's guarding him.
Yeah, hamstring is painful. Yeah,
Right. Because
What up,
hamstring,
Freddie?
you could go 3 weeks, feel good, play a couple of games, and might start feeling tight again. And then what?
Yeah,
Yeah, what's up,
looking
Freddie?
at looking at the Pels like schedule for like the upcoming months, a lot of their games are going to be a lot of Eastern Conference teams and not a lot of like conference opponents. So I mean, I guess dropping those games don't seem as hurtful, and like when it comes down to the brass tacks of your standings, and things like that. But man, it definitely sucks because you don't want to be second place, fighting for first, where in a tight, close race, and then lose your all-star caliber player. Like, I mean, we were talking about it a couple weeks ago. We thought Zion was definitely like an all-star starter. So now you're losing a player like him. They still have like Brandon Ingram. CJ McCollum's back. He's playing a lot more from his injury. You got Herb Jones and different things like that. But like Zion's that all-star player. He's that dude who's going to get you 25 a night and 6, 7, 8 rebounds. So they're definitely going to be missing him a lot. And we're probably going to see them probably take a little bit of a dip. Probably fall off out of that top. It was the top 4 race. It might drop down to a 3-team race. With the Grizzlies, the Suns, and the other team. Can't think off the top of my head.
Suns are in 8th right now, but I mean, look at where New Orleans is. You got Dallas is right behind them in 4th. Sacramento has managed to stay up in the top 6, and the Clippers are right there.
the West is wide open still.
So I mean, Nuggets. So I had the Nuggets, Grizzlies, and I guess the Mavericks. Looking at the standings, so it's gonna be a little iffy. The Clippers are on the up and up. Finally hitting the 20-win mark themselves too.
Yeah.
It's
And the
first in the
Mavericks-
National Hockey League, 137 goals.
But
The Mavericks have won, 7 in a row, and it was a couple of weeks ago. The Mavericks were kind of hovering in the play-in area. A lot of people talking about Luka needs help and all this kind of stuff. Not to say he doesn't still need help, but
Oh yeah,
at least
I definitely think they still should make a move. I don't think that roster is championship ready.
right. I mean, they've at least played better recently, where yes, Luka still has his games where he goes off for a lot of points or whatever, but other guys are chipping in more on a regular basis right now, and I think that's the biggest thing for Dallas is we know what we're going to get from Luka, but can we get the same consistency from um,
Hardaway
Dinwiddie,
Jr.
Hardaway Jr., Christian Wood? I feel like has been really good for them.
He's been a good signing so far, and he's been probably a very underrated one of the more underrated signings, I would say. Like Christian Wood wasn't one of those players when you thought about last year's free agency as one of those big name signings, but he's definitely excelled there.
He's definitely
been a good fit.
He can definitely, he's definitely paired with Luka Doncic. He gets that
very
stretch
nicely.
big man, can pass the ball, can rebound, can give you that perimeter shooting if the paint's clogged up. So yeah, he's definitely Now I would say
But
in
he-
the Rocket
my
system
thing-
he didn't really. Oh no, yeah, I was gonna say that like, in the Rocket system he didn't really flourish, but obviously he's playing with Luka Doncic and I mean, yeah, he's doing really good this year. So
I don't know. He's that type of player that's like, even when he played for Houston, like you just have spurts where he like just kind of like goes off. Like he has like a heat check type kind of moment where he'll just get you like 12 straight, and you're kind of like, why is Christian Wood dropping 13 straight on us? Like, is he really like that? So like he's been one of those players that the Mavericks can kind of just go to, and he can kind of just take over himself, like go on a span of like 14 points and give the Mavericks a little bit of a run, which is like really nice because that's kind of like what the Mavericks only had with just Luka. So having another player that you can just get a good amount of points out of, good amount of production is really good as well too. It takes a lot of less pressure off Luka's shoulders, that's for sure.
Yeah. Oh, Brett, just to let you know, we're just talking about Zion being out for the next 3 weeks at least, and kind of the teams below them, how they're playing right now, and whether they could pass New Orleans over that time. So we're just talking about Dallas and how they're playing well right now, and it's going to be about consistency from the other guys along with Luka to keep them up there in the top four.
And plus I don't want to. I mean, I'm looking at the standing right now. I think the Lakers play the Heat, but they're 16-21. I mean, and LeBron's
weeks away from talking about the Lakers.
Weeks away.
Yeah.
I mean,
until they cross over into the playing part. I'm not on my mind right now.
I mean, they're 8 games back from first place, and they play the Heat. They play the Hawks again. They play.
The Heat are playing better right now.
They're 20-18. I mean, I don't know if playing better, but
yeah, most of the year the Heat were
Hawks,
below
Kings,
the playing.
Nuggets, Mavs, Sixers, Rockets, Kings, Grizzlies, Blazers. This is good days for January.
I feel like we do have to mention the Warriors a little bit. They are on a 5-game win streak as well. Like they've been doing their thing as of late. They've been a team that's been kind of and they've been doing their thing.
I mean, they're 1 game behind. I think 2 games behind Minnesota. And then
I guess if we're talking about the East, I mean, the Nets are still on a 12-game win streak, so.
Yeah, and they're looking like the team that everybody thought they were when Durant and Kyrie got together.
I mean, they're only 1 game behind of first place.
Yeah.
They're definitely doing their thing right now. And then I guess any other team.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
Craig, though.
Yeah. The Warriors are one of those teams. Like they'll play anybody. Like they're gonna play the same, no matter who they play against.
Yeah.
And then I guess another team I've been really keeping an eye on. We've mentioned them last week, but the Pacers, they're in the 6th spot now in the East. 4-game win streak. Tyrese Halliburton's been really good. They've been getting really good play out of Buddy Hield and Miles Turner as of late too. Those have been 2 guys that looked at like big trade candidates, and now it's looking like the Pacers could be fighting for a playoff spot. So maybe they might not get moved.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it's gonna be an interesting conversation Indiana's gonna have to have with himself because Miami's right there, and like I said, they're coming up playing better over the last couple of weeks. The Knicks have been hanging around as well. So if we get to the trade deadline and let's say the Pacers are 7th or 8th and in the play-in area, does that change their outlook on the season, or would they look at this start and say, even if we drop a little bit, we're still good enough to move back up. And instead of being stagnant at the deadline or selling off any pieces, maybe we turn into buyers and try to get somebody.
It's just it's interesting with them because it's like if we look at this roster, do we really think the Pacers could win a chip? It's like I don't think the Pacers could beat the Nets. I don't think the Pacers could beat the Celtics. But like, man, the Pacers versus the 76ers would be an interesting series. That like it's like you look at this Pacers roster and like they can play like interesting like series against a lot of different teams. Yep, exactly. Like that's what we're saying. Like right now, it's like this Pacers team's like good enough to play against some fun teams. Like they could beat some of those 7th, 8th, maybe 9th, 10th like rosters. But with that being said, they can't beat this contender. So it's interesting with the Pacers because it's like you could sell off these pieces while they're doing really great and get probably a lot for them. They could probably right now, Buddy Hield's probably going for the most that they probably had. They could probably get for him in a minute. Miles Turner is probably going for a little bit more than they probably could have got him, at the start of the season. So it's like you could move these pieces and get a lot more, but it's like your window's gone. If you're going to try to move something to maybe want to compete, you better do it now. But if you're not, you better kind of make a decision because, I think pieces like them are going to devalue over time. And if you're going to move them, you probably want to move them while they're hot. But that's a tough decision to make.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they'd have to, I guess, be realistic about things. If they came into this year to use it as a stepping stone to next year, and they're kind of just evaluating the talent right now, then I think they'll probably just stay stagnant at the deadline, ride it out, then in the off season maybe try and move. But if they were looking at this season like, oh, we should be top 4,
we could do
7 or
something,
8, then they would sell off. And I think Indiana coming into this year didn't have a lot of expectations. They couldn't have.
But like, if I was Indiana, like, is there anybody like tradable who's like who would be a target for them that they could like realistically go get?
That would be the other question.
Because it's like you look, it's like they have a guard, they have Halliburton. They would probably have their center in Turner if they were deciding to compete. It's like I don't know. You probably want to look for another 4. Try to have someone to pair up with Turner. But again, who would be really on the market? Because
the trade deadline. There's always something crazy happening. I'm like, when's the trade deadline?
February. Imagine if the Suns didn't match the offer that the Pacers gave Ayton. Pacers did get them. They could be a way better team.
True. And
yeah.
And also, around the trade deadline, if the Suns are like 6 in the West, would they then entertain maybe Ayton again to the Pacers?
That's something
the Pacers have to be like, what do you want from us though at this point?
That's something to think about. Yeah.
I don't know. Do like Turner for Ayton.
It couldn't be straight up because I feel like the Suns would want more back, but it'd be like I feel like you'd throw Ayton, the Suns would probably have to give up like Turner. I'm trying to think of who's on the.
I was saying like the framework would be around Turner and
it'd be those guys, and then probably like Jalen Smith or someone, and then like, I don't know.
Right, so
I don't know if
a big deal. So you're riding him into the offseason, re-sign him, and are the Pacers really committed to Turner? With him always being on a trade block, which he really is.
I mean, even if they keep, just like Greg said, or I think Brett, like, do you think if they even keep, like, say if they decided to keep Buddy Hield in, like, and Miles Turner, like, do you think they're a championship level team in the East? I mean, they do have potential to be like their number 1.
No, they wouldn't be championship potential.
That's why they should not rebuild, but kind of like trade those players, just like you said, doing because those players have shelf life. They're not gonna they're on a hot stretch right now. So why not find a suitable team like the Lakers that need that are 8th spot from the first, get a Miles Turner, get a shooting big.
Two-way street though.
Hey, but
what do the Lakers have that Indiana wants?
I mean, but we can do a 3-team trade. You know what I'm saying? That's the only way that'll work.
3-team trade makes it even more complicated because then now you got to find a third team that
Turner
wants
has to
to
go.
need to reach. And I feel like people putting Turner and Hield in the same situation is different. I feel like Indiana values Hield more because he possesses a commodity that a lot of teams don't have. Perimeter shooter.
But see, you could say that with Turner as well too, because Turner is one of the better shooters as a center, though.
One of the
I would
shooting
say
big men,
I
yeah.
would say his biggest skill is that he is a shooter for a center. But I will say, like, him being able to stretch the floor is definitely a nice commodity to go with his defensive skills. Like, if you had Turner in a wide open three, you're not going to be like, oh man, like that's going to be
He's
a
gonna
brick. You're going to be
airball,
like,
yeah.
you're going to be like, he actually has a chance to make that. Like, I'm not hating that shot.
That's true. But I also think if you're looking at the East and you're looking at, Giannis, who plays down low, physical guy, Embiid, physical guy, I still think there's questions that people would have about Turner about playing a physical style like that. Because Turner wants to be on the perimeter. And yeah, if he's making it, sure, you live with him out there.
Yeah,
I've seen
man.
games where Turner
He's shooting a
struggling
40% clip this year from
That's
it.
what- yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, yes, he is a good perimeter shooter, but
Yeah.
those games where the shot's not going down,
Fair enough.
is he just going to stay out there and keep firing them, or is he willing to go down low, bang around in the paint a little bit, and at least give you that option as well? Because yes, I get it. Big men who shoot from the perimeter, high commodity as well. But I feel like the teams that do well, there is a little bit of a change up in the game where, it's not working. All right, so I'll operate in the mid range, operate in the high post or something like that. And I feel like Turner's not really that type of guy to do that over, 4 or 5 games in a playoff series if the shot's just not there. Whereas Hield's going to shoot, waking up every day.
Fair enough.
So, but I mean, Indiana's going to be one of those teams that everybody's going to be looking at to see how their season's going once we get around to the trade deadline. Because if they start dipping, then yeah, Hield will probably be available. Turner will be available. It'd probably be everybody but Halliburton and Mathurin at that point.
Yeah, I say at this point, like Brett said, let's like bet around Halliburton because that's your future right there. I mean, Buddy Hield, is he like in his
I feel
early
like it's
30s?
already Halliburton's team right now.
Yeah, it is Halliburton's
Yeah.
team. We were talking about him being an all-star reserve. Like, that's his team.
Yeah.
I feel like once that Sabonis trade happened, like Pacers fans were upset, but that they lost Sabonis. But like, I don't think they were too upset. I think when they saw they got Halliburton as part of the deal, Kings fans were booing the trade because they didn't want Halliburton gone, and I think that says a lot.
Right.
Well, I think part of that also was maybe they wanted Turner to go over Sabonis. Because, I mean, Sabonis is like a 2015 type of guy. And he was basically their low post guy. So I think when they traded him, they were just like, But ultimately, it worked out that it kind of worked out for both teams. Halliburton's first.
I think both
Sabonis
teams
has
were.
been really good in Sacramento.
Yeah, I feel like the Pacers kind of hit their window with that Sabonis Turner, kind of lineup they were running there. It was a little bit different since they lost a lot of the other pieces they had went with it, and then like the Kings needed something. I think trading Halliburton sucked, but I feel like I don't know, maybe the Kings didn't think they had enough time to get Halliburton there. I don't know. It's that trade is so weird to me, especially with how Halliburton's doing now. It's kind of like, man, you could have probably had 2 20-point scoring guards, Sacramento, like right now. But who knows? It'd be interesting to see them together right now. Fox and Halliburton on the same team right now. It'd be nice.
Yeah, because the trade almost seemed like, I think most people thought they were going to trade Fox and keep Halliburton. Because I guess they decided that the two of them as a backcourt weren't going to work, and they were going to keep one and not the other. And for most people, Halliburton was younger, better on the perimeter, in terms of being an athlete, taller, longer arms, maybe you build around him. And then when they traded him, like I said, most people were shocked. And then for Indiana to trade Sabonis, but I don't know. Maybe down the line, the two of them end up. Because I was intrigued as well. Because I'm a big De'Aaron Fox guy, and I didn't know a lot about Halliburton, but I saw him play like against the Celtics or something. I was like, okay, this guy, he's a weird jump shot, but he seems to make it. So I
His
can't really
jump shot
get
is
on
very
him.
weird. I watched. He played at Iowa State, so I watched him play a lot because a lot of Big 12 games go around this area in Oklahoma. So I watched him a lot. And yeah, he has a weird jump shot, but I like him.
Sabonis is the second best passing big man in the NBA. Love
Agreed.
Sabonis. Yeah,
Agreed.
definitely agree with that.
He's nice. He's like I like Sabonis's play style a lot because it's like I'm not necessarily a big fan of just big scores. I like if you can fill up the stat sheet, and Sabonis is one of those type of guys. Like he'll get you like 15, 8, and 8, and I'm completely fine by that.
Yeah, definitely. All right, let's see. Well, I mean, Dylan, you brought up Atlanta a little time ago. So you can go ahead, talk for a little bit as a Hawks fan. I mean, I watch the Hawks too, but I mean, what are you thinking in terms of what's wrong with them? One, if you think anything's wrong with them. And two, is Nate McMillan the right guy for this team, or do they need to kind of separate at this point?
Honestly, I probably wouldn't think a separation is bad. I mean, the Hawks are 3-7 in their last 10. This is a team that's kind of had a lot of a lot of expectations. Trading for DeJounte Murray. It's kind of a big deal. They kind of had a little bit of a window after, especially making an Eastern Conference Finals. The Hawks are kind of looked at as one of those teams that should be making the playoffs now or getting pretty close. We've got a couple years of it. Trae Young's kind of got his money now. We've been trading for some pieces. It sucks, definitely. I wouldn't say McMillan's probably the coach there. Nothing against him as a coaching or a play style or anything like that. It just doesn't seem like the locker room's really behind him, And sometimes that sucks. It, again, doesn't even mean he's like a bad coach or a bad person. Sometimes it's just hard to get some guys to follow behind some coaches, and I feel like it might be a situation like that. I don't think stepping down would be bad. See if we can find a coach during maybe like the trade deadline. Give us some time. Yeah, Trae Young is a horrible defensive.
Brett, get out of my head, man. I said the same thing. But
yep, I agree. I feel like Trae Young is very one-dimensional when it comes to his basketball game. He can give you everything offensively, but defensively, he's a liability. He doesn't really try that much. That's why they had to get a guy like DeJounte Murray in there, someone who can play a little more aggressive on the guards, get steals, be a little more rugged. But I don't know. It's interesting. I kind of expect a little bit more watching Hawks basketball. That Warriors game sucked yesterday. Clay dropping 50 on us, and then Jordan was talked about LeBron, dropping 40 on his birthday. That definitely wasn't nice as well. I don't know. Definitely a lot needs to change there. I mean, we're getting production out of our players. I don't know. They need to figure out what they want to do with John Collins, because I don't think that's helping us out as well. Just a lot of different stuff.
Yeah. Well, I think like Brett said, the issue now is with Trae being off the ball and him being disinterested. What exactly what's his value then at that point? Because then are you going to take away the ball from Murray, who's more dynamic with the ball in his hands than I think Trae is? Because Trae, probably because of his height, he's kind of limited once he gets into the lane. He has the little floater and all that. But at least with Murray, Murray gets to the rim. He can finish over the guys. He's got the long reach. I mean, his arms go for days. But it's like, I don't know if it's going to come to the point where Atlanta might have to decide between kind of going a new way with Murray and moving Trae, or I think this would be stupid, but looking to move Murray, make Trae happy, and try somebody else alongside of him.
Man, see, the thing is, I don't even really think Trae Young is like not happy with DeJounte Murray being there. Just I feel like they can't find something like a play style that works well with him. I don't know. It's weird. It sucks that we can't actually be there to like listen to the conversations on like what's actually going wrong, to see like if Trae Young's not happy with this, maybe Nate McMillan's actually doing something that's actually makes sense for him to be upset. It's just hard to tell with situations like this.
Yeah, I mean,
Wish we could be like a little fly on the wall.
And like I'm looking at his stats. I mean, Trae Young is averaging 27.5 points, ninth in the league in the points. The only thing he's low in is I mean, field goal, which is bad. I mean, he's 115th in like field goal percentage, which is
That's supposed to be his calling card. He's
exactly.
supposed to be a shooter.
And then he's
And
second
now
in
he's not
assists.
efficient anymore as a shooter.
Right. So and he's second in assists. I mean, he's good on the offensive side of the ball, dishing the ball out and scoring. But
He's a great
he's
player.
He's good
He's
with
a-
the
he's-
ball in his hands.
we've all said that, like, you know, he's off ball. Like defense is just
No, off ball offensively, he's awful at that.
yeah.
So if you just put the ball in his hands, now you're taking something away from Murray. And then if you do that, it makes it seem like, why did you trade for Murray if you're just going to turn around and do the same Trae Young-centric offense that has gotten you so far these previous years? Where if they could figure out a way to get Young to play off the ball, they'd be so much better for it, because Murray on the ball is just better.
like even if he could be like 10% of a spot up shooter, you know, like him just run the floor a little bit and just pop.
That's the big question from Gregory.
Yeah.
Where does he fit?
Exactly, because like no matter what, like you're gonna kind of, no matter where he goes to, you're gonna kind of have to like put your offense around Trae Young now. It's not like you can trade him to Sacramento and, you know, maybe try to do something with, I don't know, Trae Young and Beal or Trae Young and Porzingis or something like that. It's like your offense is now Trae Young. It's not whatever it was before. So it's tough. You would have to be traded to a coach who would be willing to try to convert him to be more of an open-minded player like that. It's like, you feel like the Warriors would be a perfect place for him, but obviously place wouldn't make sense realistically.
Yeah, I was gonna say the Warriors, but yeah, for
Like
Well,
Steve
yeah.
Kerr would probably be a perfect coach for him in that
It's just a
situation,
situation
but
that never.
wait,
it would never arise. But it's just tough. You'd have to try to go to a place
you
that
have to
would.
go to a team that like needs to be. I mean, I would definitely like if I was like a GM, like I would definitely like if Trae Young was available to build around, I'd definitely build my team around Trae because, like you said, you need to build around him. So he needs to
mean,
go
the
to a-
Spurs-
Question, though.
The
he needs to
Spurs,
go-
I feel like the
he needs to
Spurs
go to a
could
team that's
mortgage.
on a rebuild mode. You know what I'm saying? So,
I
Like-
don't know
like-
if Trey can be your best player on a championship team. That's where I think the
Okay,
problem.
Well, you
my,
can-
my
but you can
thing is,
surround
I
him
feel
with
like he
players,
could.
like-
I feel like he
Well, he
could.
could,
Like, I feel
like-
like if you could get a team that has like a decent, like 3-and-D second option, like a decent 3-and-D, someone who doesn't need the ball in their hands a lot, someone who's fine being that role player that can wait on Trae Young to get them the ball, let him be the playmaker he needs to be, and surround him with decent scorers and defenders. I feel like it's possible, but like it'd always be tough.
It's
You'd
hard.
have to get
It's
those
hard.
right
It's hard
guys.
to-
You'd have to get those right guys. You'd have to find the right guys. Like there's
He's
players out there that would be perfect, but
He's a difficult player
he's a difficult player.
to like build around. As Brett
Like-
says here, it'll come down to Trey learning how to attack off the ball, which I said is the only way it's going to work in Atlanta, because I'm not taking the ball out of Murray's hand. I'd rather have Murray initiate the offense and try to take guards on. If he can't coexist with another star, then it severely limits Atlanta's championship
maybe go
aspirations.
to LA Clippers and
Hinders his trade
they
value.
get on wall
Take the
and
team to championship levels. His playmaking is elite. His efficiency isn't good either, so that's the killer. Yeah, if his shooting
Exactly.
percentage continues to stay low, then it really hurts what he gives you. Because basically before this, it was like, yeah, he might give up 30 playing defense, but offensively he could drop 40. And now I don't know if I think that gap's kind of come to the point where it's like he's almost canceling himself out with how little he does defensively. So get a Paul George type co-star to play with him. I mean, that would be perfect. Where do you find that? Because I think he and Murray should work. It should work with DeJounte Murray.
They should work because like with DeJounte Murray, like we're saying, like he's great with the ball, but like he's not one of those guys who drops 25 a night. He's not one of those
Right.
guys who drops 27 a night. He's fine dropping 15, 16, 17 a night. Let
Right.
Trae Young get his 30, but it's like Trae Young can only get his 30 when Trae Young has the ball in his hands. Like if Trae Young could get 20 by doing that, and then 10 by someone getting him the ball and him making a shot, like that would be so much better. But no, all Trae Young's 30 has to go with Trae Young making the move, Trae Young making, the drive to the lane to get the free throws, something like that. It's not someone getting Trae Young the ball,
Right.
and that's the biggest issue.
I mean, Atlanta's in a really tough position right now because even if you let McMillan go, who do you bring in to coach?
Exactly.
Everybody's gonna throw out the same names. Oh, Mark
Steve
Jackson. Yeah.
Do you see him going to? The only team I can think of that maybe Miami with Jimmy Butler, but then again, I mean Kyle Lowry's getting older.
Well, Miami
Yes,
definitely needs to upgrade over Kyle Lowry.
But like, what would
That's an
Miami have?
interesting name,
Miami
Brett.
would have to give up a lot.
Mike D'Antoni, but isn't he out of the league though?
Because D'Antoni could care less what Trae Young does defensively, and maybe he would form an offense around.
But if he goes to Miami, he would have Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo.
I
Tyler
feel like
Hero.
Butler would get fed up with Trae Young
Yeah.
because Butler's not the easiest, teammate to have.
What they call-
Trae Young makes one shot that he
Well,
doesn't
that-
like, and Jimmy
well, that-
Butler's punching him on the side of the bench.
But back to Brett's point, Jimmy Butler is that dog. He can, he's a player I can compare to Paul George, where it comes to like offense and stuff. So, who knows that could work? They got Spoelstra.
I don't see it.
Nah.
Definitely Spoelstra.
I think
better than, Millen.
I don't think Miami. I think Miami would not be interested in Trae Young on the slightest. They would be more interested.
Well, then I don't
That's
see
why they got
Miami
like a
winning
guy
a
like Kyle Lowry.
Well, I don't see Miami winning it, or not. I don't see Atlanta winning anything anytime soon. Then, so
Well, okay, so here's my whole point with that. It's like the Eastern Conference Finals run severely warped the way people view this team. So because of that, they made the Murray move, and they're like, "Oh, we're elite in the East," and it's like you're not though. But they think
We
they
haven't
are.
even seen it work. We haven't seen it work since you guys made it. What makes you think you're going to be elite since you trade for a player you don't even know if that fits in your offense
But I'm just saying
or
that
defense?
because they don't realize that Eastern Conference Finals run, there was a lot of luck behind it, which you do need luck. But they made it seem like, they made it there because they were just better than a lot of the teams in the East. So because of that, they made questionable moves. I still don't understand the Kevin Herter move.
yeah, that was.
I still
Oh,
can't
man.
figure that one out. They traded him for Mo Harkless to then release Mo Harkless the next day. So it was just a salary dump, basically. And Herter was the guy
He
that
was a
played
lifetime
well with
shooter.
Trae Young. If he kicked it out to Herter could hit an open three. If you gave it to Herter on the wing, he could make a nice little drive to the rim or a nice little pull up. But they didn't, I don't know, for whatever reason, they didn't want that.
And he wasn't
They-
even horrible
I feel like-
defensively. I can remember
Exactly.
lots of
I-
games where he was just blocking someone out of nowhere.
Also, I feel like it's not all Trae Young's fault. If you talk about John Collins, he's supposed to be that. They need to let him go too. John Collins hasn't been that superstar that
John Collins got worse
he got
after
worse.
that finals run.
He
And
did,
Trae
he
Young
did.
becomes the man with the whole ice and all that. That, like, Trey's ego
yeah.
went like through the roof, and then John Collins became the guy who was just like, "Yeah, stand in the corner. I'll kick it to you when I need you to take a shot." That doesn't utilize what Collins can do, and
Yeah.
I think because of that, Collins looks bad. Last night he dropped like 24 or something, and that was like the first time I'd seen Collins drop more than 10 in a while.
Yeah, right.
So
But
I
that,
feel
that
like
could-
Trae Young is affecting a lot of the players on that team, other than Capella, because if he doesn't shoot it, he throws a lob to Capella.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah, I can't really.
literally Trae Young has two options, and it's shoot. Well, three options: shoot, get fouled, or throw a lob to Collins or Capella.
That's it.
That's
Then they get rid
literally
of,
that's literally the whole Trae Young offense.
And then they get rid of Bogdanovich, right? Another shooter.
Nah,
Bogdanovich is still there.
Yeah, Bogdan.
Oh, for
He
real?
he's actually been doing pretty decent as of late, though. He's had a pretty good last couple of games. I'm pretty sure he had like 20 something
Mhm.
the last couple nights.
I don't know, man. Trae Young is. I don't know what you do with him, and I've seen people floating out like Dallas and stuff. Why? What makes you think Trae Young and Luka would coexist? Now that's another thing where if Atlanta didn't make that draft day trade, and Luka was with the Hawks, Trae was with the Mavericks,
Do you think it would have been the same
the
story?
Hawks would have been so much better off.
Yeah. Do you think
Because
it would
I
be
feel
the-
like
Did say
I
that
feel like
though.
Luka would have done
See
better
what's
with.
my mom. The interesting thing with that is like, I don't know, man. It's like you're playing. You could think it would work. It might be better, but you never know. Maybe it's always about the coaching and stuff there too. Maybe they wouldn't have believed in Luka a specific way, and Atlanta or gave him the opportunities that the Mavericks gave him or the trust they gave him. You never know with things like that.
Once again, Brett knows my talking points. The Atlanta offense is too Trae centric. And if they could
Yeah.
figure out a coach to get them to play motion offense, Hawks would actually be so much better for it.
But who would be that coach? That's a hard thing. I mean, everyone had their.
I
Everyone
mean,
had their team
D'Antoni
leader.
would probably implement that. I don't know
Mhm.
what D'Antoni's interests are in terms of coaching in
Coaching.
Atlanta, but I mean, if they were offering a head coaching job, he wasn't getting that anywhere else. Why not take it? But in terms of other coach, like Mark Jackson, I feel like Mark Jackson.
He's more of like an offensive kind of like a defensive kind of like coach. Like
Yeah, I feel like Mark Jackson's more, half court offense. Mark Jackson would probably run a lot of the same stuff they're running now, but
yeah,
he would focus a lot on the defensive end, like you said, Jordan.
he's like a Tom Thibodeau. When it comes to that,
Thibodeau,
but
I hate
I'm
that
just
trade.
you're right. But
That is a good question. Who knows if Luka can play off the ball?
I think he can, but we haven't seen him with a true co-star yet. Yeah, that's true. We haven't seen I mean, Dinwiddie, he's all right. He can shoot, but
But that's kind of what you want around Luka.
yeah. Bullock has kind of been
Bullock is
Let Luka do whatever he wants. He'll pass the ball
Luka's-
to you if he wants you to shoot. Luka will
Luka's-
tell you what to do.
Luka needs another. I think Luka needs another star by him. I mean, I think he has Christian
I don't.
Wood.
My
Yeah, I don't
thing
think so.
with the Mavericks,
He's
and
carrying
I'm not
that
going to go
team.
too long on this. My thing is with the Mavericks, I don't think Luka needs another co-star. I just think you need to give him better pieces, like better just pieces around him. He doesn't need a second co-star. He just needs his pieces around him to be more consistent. That's it. Like, just be a little bit better defensively, be a little bit better offensively when Luka can't drop you a 40-point triple-double, because he will at like every other night. Just the nights that he's not going to and he's a little bit tired.
Yeah, I'm just scared if what if Luka, is.
Man, I'm very scared Luka's just gonna like overwork himself and just
That's
get
what I'm saying. What
burnt
if-
out with
God
his
forbid,
production.
what if he gets hurt?
Yeah, God forbid.
There's-
But like,
God forbid, but who's gonna be their star on the team? Like, that's
Well,
That's
that's like any team though. Like if I said,
yeah, but it's like,
God forbid, like
It's like-
Giannis got hurt, what would Milwaukee? I mean, Milwaukee would still be. That's probably a bad
but
example.
the
'cause
but the
Milwaukee
thing
has
is with
that
Luka,
system.
it's like Giannis ain't going out there and dropping 40-point triple doubles every
Yeah, I was
other
gonna say,
night.
yeah,
Like,
that was a bad example. But I just mean
Yeah.
like for a lot of teams in the NBA
Yeah.
where they have like that one solidified superstar, that's you can say what you said about Luka. Like if he goes down, that's a lot of teams in the NBA right now. I mean, you could say, what if? Well, I mean, look at Phoenix. Booker's been down. Look how that's kind of changed the way that they play. Because Booker, Chris Paul, we know what he is, but Booker is like the more dynamic perimeter player. You take that away, now you need more from Mikal Bridges. You need more from Ayton. And it's whether or not those guys can step up and do that while Booker's out. So as Dylan's saying, with Luka, it's like I don't need to pair Luka with Jason Tatum. If it happens, sure, that's cool and everything. But you just need guys like Hardaway and Dinwiddie. Luka needs to know on a nightly basis, you're going to give me 15 to 20. You're knock down a couple of threes every night. I'm good. he can't have the nights where like Luka drops 50, Dinwiddie like 10 on like 17 shots, Bullock you don't know he's playing, and Hardaway's like MIA. That's where Luka looks like he's on a isolated island by himself with no help. Let me see what Brett says. Issues you lock up Luka, that's it. Bucks didn't have Giannis against Atlanta in 2021. And Brooke casually dropped 33, and they still have Drew and Chris when healthy. Yeah. That's why I said when I mentioned the Bucks, that was a bad example because the Bucks actually have a decent system in place that, if you take Giannis away, they'll figure it out with their other guys.
Right.
Our player can make sure the team doesn't get slaughtered. Yeah. Or if he has an off game. All right.
That's what I was saying. I was like, with Luka, it's like he's gonna get his. But in nights that he does drop 20 or like 30 or something, maybe even 15. Like sometimes, like if he gets them like low point triple doubles that he gets, sometimes it's like you need another guy who can drop 20 to 25 a night.
To like
Luka
back
can.
him up. Yeah.
Exactly. It's like if you can drop 15 to 20 on a nightly basis, but when Luka needs you to drop 25, like he needs a guy like that, someone who can pick up the slack when he can't do it some nights or when he gets locked up.
I don't see Bullock doing that. They need another like that.
Dinwiddie's he's the type of player who could.
He's streaky.
Because he's just the problem with him is he's streaky. Like if you get Dinwiddie on a good week, he could drop 30 a night. But it's just that those weeks when it's hard for him to get to 15 where he really struggles in Dallas. Is there any other team you want to talk about? I mean, Jordan, you did bring up the Lakers. I kind of did shoot that down with I don't want to talk about the Lakers, but you kind of see with the Lakers though. AD goes down. The team's trying to figure out who's that second guy with LeBron. LeBron will have his days where he drops 40, 45. But the nights when LeBron gives you 25, where does that offense come from with AD on the bench? And Westbrook who plays well off the bench, but he still has some nights where, he's not making shots. And now you're relying on guys like Reeves or Walker, Brown.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I have to throw Pat Bev, but Pat Bev's probably gonna have more technicals than anything this season.
Pat Bev is averaging 6.1 points per game, man.
That's actually higher than I thought it was.
Really? Damn.
I swear the times I've seen Beverly play, he has like 4 points, and then that's it. So the fact he's averaging 6, kind of surprised by it. I guess he threw in probably like one double-digit game this year. Maybe that's what's got him over 6 points. But it's just going to be interesting to see where a lot of teams go because, Minnesota without Cat, a lot of questions with that roster. The Lakers without AD, questions about that roster. The Clippers and their health, questions about them. Sacramento, like, how good is this team? Because we don't know. We haven't seen Sacramento be this good in who knows how long. Portland, you got Dame Lillard. You've got Anthony Simons. How good is that group? So the West, outside of Denver, Memphis, even though John Morant says they're not worried about anybody. I mean, you might want to take that statement back. But in New Orleans, outside of the Zion injury, I couldn't tell you how the West is going to finish. At least with the East, we kind of know who the good teams are in the East.
They kind of set like the Brooklyn Celtics and
Milwaukee. I think Cleveland's going to stay up there.
How many what rank did they be in the season to be like playing team like that final?
So your playoff teams are 1 through 6, play-in 7 through 10.
Your 7 and 8 will play each other. The winner of 7 and 8 will automatically move on to the playoffs. 9 and 10 will play each other.
9 and 10,
the loser plays the winner of 9 and 10.
Gosh,
are you guys fans of the play-in tournament?
I like it. I like it. It gives a little.
We've already seen years where the lower seed has won, so I don't hate it.
It's another level of competitiveness, for teams
I
that
do think there should be like I'm not a big fan of it being like actual 9 and 10. I feel like you should have to
we should move to
be.
the NFL now. So
I'm about to say Blue City. We'll get on that here in a minute because
Yeah.
that's.
But
I-
my last thing is like I like I only think the play in should work if like there's teams like I think I would say a game or a game and a half like record wise making it. But like for example, like let's say I'm gonna just use like the East, for example, like let's say if we end the season and the Hawks have like 42 wins at 9, and then the number 10 spot has like 36 or 35 or like 30, like those are seasons where like you go 12 games back from anybody worth anything, then no.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
uh,
Then again, if the Hawks
Yeah.
lose to that team, then it's like, oh,
Yeah, fair. I could see it. But it's like, man, it's going to just suck to see you just get swept in the first round.
well, I mean, that's always been an issue with the NBA. But I just think the NBA just did the play-in tournament to at least create some intrigue at the bottom. Yeah, most likely that team's going to lose to the 1 and 2 seed, but at least we have some intrigue with that team before they get eliminated.
Fair enough. We
But
can
yeah,
move on
so
to the NFL.
yeah, let's move on to the NFL. Obviously, we got to start with DeMar Hamlin, and as Blue
Thank you.
City put here, so basically Hamlin makes a tackle, which we've seen a tackle like that millions of times. Have never seen the aftermath of it like we saw with Hamlin, where he gets up, collapses on his back. We later learned, I still can't remember the term that these cardiologists are using, but basically they're saying it's like your heart expands, contracts. His is expanding at the wrong time when Higgins kind of hit him in the chest, threw off the rhythm, and then that's where we are now with him being, critical and all that. And of course, prayers up with him, family, who I know have got to be crushed by all of this. And yeah, Blue City, you are bringing up the right things right now.
I can't wait for this NFL. Like it's gonna. I couldn't sleep last night, to be honest, man. I couldn't sleep.
It's tough to see, and kind of like what I said in the group chat. It's like I've seen like a bunch of issues with players on the court. So, yep, Brett, you bring up another one as well. We're gonna come to that too.
Skip Bayless. I got a whole. Oh my god, it's gonna be like.
Okay, so the Skip Bayless thing is completely overblown. I have read the tweets and everything. People reacted to the last tweet. They never looked at the first two. So they completely missed his message. And, Perk did it, and a lot of people brought up Perk's response. And I think that set everything in motion.
What was his first tweet? Was it the main tweet?
So everybody read it where Skip talking about irrelevant or whatever. And people were like, oh my God, he's talking about Hamlin's injury being irrelevant. Wasn't the point. If you read the first two tweets, Skip said he's seen a lot of sporting events and he's never seen a situation like what happened with Hamlin. Most times in the NFL, a player gets hurt, you just continue on. But he said this is clearly different. And then after that is when he said he's sure the league would want to resume the game or find a new date for it because of the magnitude of it. But he was saying that the magnitude of the game was irrelevant because of the different situation with Hamlin. So when I read it, I was like, I had no problem with Skip said. But people read the last one and then Perk calling him an a-hole and all that. And that's what everybody jumped off of. Because I saw it all over TikTok, saw it all over Facebook, saw it everywhere. And only a few people would jump in the comments and be like, read the rest of the tweets. But nobody cared. Because that's just the social media age we're in right now, where people read something, automatically react to it, and then it just goes off. Because if you look at the tweet thread, the first tweet only had like 2 million views. Second one, like 4 million. The third tweet, when I looked, had like 60 million views. And everybody under the comments of the third one was like, cancel this man. You should be fired. Shannon Sharp should go across the table and slap you in the face, and it's just like
I guess my issue with it was there was just bad timing, just like bad timing.
But it wasn't though. You had to read from the first tweet.
Yeah, it's Twitter's fault that he couldn't let him type the whole thing in. Like,
that is the
fault.
problem.
It has to be in threads.
Time in between the tweets, because if you I
He
think it
should
was like
probably
2
put
minutes in
continued
between each
reading.
one.
He should have probably put continued reading.
Yeah.
Continued reading part 1 of 2, part 1 of 3. Like he should have probably pre-planned it out maybe a little bit better to make it known like this is going to be a continuous string of stuff rather
Yeah.
than just making it look like it's going to be separate tweets, because it does look worded like if you didn't go onto a thread, it does look worded wrong if it was a tweet by itself, but it's not. It was in a string of them. So
Who is that?
Yeah,
Just
Blue
lost info.
City definitely put in the chat who it is, because with us being live, I didn't see anything.
We just lost another NFL player. It's not the Buffalo Bill player. It's a different
It's
player.
different.
They just
Yeah, put in the chat who it was, and I mean,
was it like recent news? Or?
he's making it seem like it just happened. Yeah, he said we just lost. I didn't see anything on my phone.
But I mean, prior to the injuries, it was a good game. I mean, Burrows, scored the first touchdown, and Bills. I mean, no, they scored the field goal. The Bills, right?
Yeah,
and
the Bills got the field goal. Bengals got a touchdown.
But no, like back to the injury, it's just like. To be honest, it happened so fast that like I didn't even get to see the initial hit. But then I saw like he was on his.
I'm telling you, it was literally nothing in the hit. Like it's basically like if you're playing Madden, Higgins used the truck stick, basically, and then Hamlin took it in the chest, fell back, he got up, he stood up for maybe a second, and then he fell back, and the players
that was
looked
the
at
crazy
him,
part. That was the crazy part because he got it, he hit him and got up and looked like he was getting ready to go walk back to the defensive huddle. He looked like he was just fine, and then he fell back, and it was just
Yeah, he's right. The lineman Uche from Jaguars a couple years ago.
I know who he's talking about.
But the way it's just like ESPN, Adam Schefter, Booker McFarland, they did it. I mean, if I was an analyst last night, see, I'm a sensitive person, so it was hard to keep. I mean, I give them mad props for keeping their emotions in check, not crying. It's a tough because even though I'm not a father yet, I know we're all not fathers yet, but soon to be fathers in the future. He's looking at it from both angles, from being a parent, seeing that's a parent's worst nightmare is seeing your child, even though he's 24, he's still a mother's baby. Seeing a mother or being a mother and seeing
he could be 74. Your mother's still gonna be.
But the point is, that's the worst. That's the worst nightmare. Seeing your kid, lay it out like that. And I mean, I thought he would have got up just fine, but he was on the ground for a lot. And then the ambulance came out. And I mean, the Bengals and Bills player did a good job of caressing him and not letting us see what happened.
Athletes will always do that. Athletes will at least the sensible ones. They'll always protect their brother. It could be on the other sideline or whatever, but they understand that. Yeah, we play on different teams, but I'm out here trying to make a living just like you. You have a family just like me. So if you get hurt like that, then we got you. We can come together. A lot of people talked about, just a side note, just to get off it real quick, the whole Thibodeau thing when he sacked Foles and then did the sack dance on the ground while Foles was clearly hurt. That's one of the rare occasions. But something like last night with Hamlin, I would like to think 100% of the time the players would do the same thing.
I knew the sense when Diggs was crying and Josh Allen was crying. Cause I know Josh Allen, he has tough skin. You know what I'm saying? He never really, he's very fired up when he plays. So something was bad. And when something goes down and I don't know, it's it's sad because obviously he's still in critical condition. I heard that his uncle told Channel 4 that I think his breathing is at 50%. So I think he's a lot better. I think.
Yeah, they took him off less oxygen.
So that's good. But I mean, we'll see as more reports come out on his health. But just knowing that how hard it is to get to the NFL, and these pro sports and like how like that his dream was to. I mean, didn't he fill the role of Michael Hyde? He did fill that role really well. So 24. That kind of hit me. That hit me because I'm 24. You know what I'm saying? Like obviously he's an athlete. I'm not an athlete, but just that being that age and like people had dreams of playing in the NFL and like possibly he can never. I mean, we'll see, but I mean, possibly he played his last down because it's going to be hard to recover from like this kind of injury. So or this kind of circumstance. And like Ryan Clark, I don't know if y'all saw him. Like he did a good job because he was there like at one point as an NFL player, like getting hurt, and like he kind of put up a perspective like, hey, I mean, yeah, playoff thing does matter, but put that to the side. All that matters is Hamlin right now. Like, and like I said in the group chat, like last night, like if I think I said that before they made the decision. Like, if I was a player, hell no, I'm not playing a down until my brother is okay. Like, I'm not. I mean, I know we know next week is the last week, week 18. I know that. I understand that playoff seeding is very important. But I mean, I don't care if Lamar Jackson or Patrick Mahomes is hurt. I'm not playing unless my player is healthy or can is okay. And Ron Clark had another point saying that like most people when they go down they put a thumbs up. He could not have put a thumbs up. He was down. He was unconscious. It was sad. I couldn't go to sleep, man. It was just because I was trying to get updates on how he was doing. But I know the hospital wouldn't stop giving reports last night. But yeah, it's tough, man. And like
David Burns going on, watching from
Yes.
Cedar Hill, Texas. Appreciate
Yes,
you tuning in.
But yeah, it was it was insane.
Well, I mean, I guess from this point on, a lot of it's going to be decided by, of course, the players. If Buffalo and Cincinnati come out and say, we're thinking about our brother, we want to play this weekend, the league will let them play. If they come out and say, we're not fit to play, we're kind of good, the league will then, I guess, decide whether you just pull those games. But if they say that they don't want to play, I could see other teams being like, yeah, we're good too. And the league can kind of pause the season until we find out what's going on with Hamlin. I think they could find a way to do that, whether it's moving, games from Sunday to like Tuesday or something if they had to. But I think right now, yeah, we saw a lot of teams today cancel practice. They didn't do any media availability, nothing like that. And I feel like that's probably going to continue this week until there's some update with Hamlin where it seems like, he's good now. Even if he's, still in the hospital, it's just like this point right now, a lot of people are just worried what the outcome might be. But if it gets to the point where they're like, oh, he'll be fine, a couple of days or something, then I think you'll start seeing teams kind of slowly get back to normalcy in terms of preparing and all that kind of stuff.
I don't want to. I mean, like I'm not in the medical field, and but I know CPR, and like I read my my research. Like, I mean, I don't want to confirm, but I think basically he technically died on the field. Let's be real, because normally in the CPR procedure it takes like 1 to 4 minutes. Dude was on the ground for like 9 minutes doing CPR. That's crazy. And obviously, thank God they restored his breathing a little bit. They kind of like shocked this. They kind of like how you did like the Erickson case. Like they kind of like died on the field.
That was wild to watch as well.
He was running, and I think he was about to do like a cross.
He wasn't even running. He ran at first. The ball went out of play. It was just a simple throw in. Erickson was just standing there, and then he collapsed. And everybody kind of looked at first like, but then they brought the medical team on. And in that case, we learned later on that he had died on the field. They revived him on the field and, wheeled him off. They kept playing the game. And then, of course, like after the game, a lot of the players went to the hospital. I think at that point he was like awake and kind of good to go. But yeah, that was weird to see on TV too. It's always because, when you're a kid and you're watching sports, you look at athletes like they're like superheroes.
Right.
because you're like, wow, they jump that high, they're that fast. I
They
want
can
to be
take
like
it.
that.
They can
But
take a
then
hit,
you-
and I can't. Yeah.
Yeah, because a lot of people see football hits. It's like, how do they get up from that? But then to see a hit like last night, where it's like he's probably had a tackle like that since he was like 8 years old. He's probably
Exactly.
tackled people like that, and then to see him not get up this time, it's like, whoa. All right, so now he's no longer an athlete. He's just a guy right now, fighting for his life. And I guess we could kind of pull in Blue City's comments here, like the people like this who can't separate that, and then now we're trying to turn it into like,
Yeah, I don't think.
oh,
Yeah, I definitely
Higgins,
don't. Yeah.
like what was Higgins doing that would make people think he purposely did this to him?
Yeah, I don't think he purposely did it.
He
No,
didn't.
definitely not. It wasn't like a Fontaine perfect hit. Like he died.
Right. That's something if you want to. I mean, death threats is never okay, but if you want to be mad at something like the perfect hit, because you look at that, you're like, that was clearly a cheap shot. You knew what you were
Right.
doing. Higgins was just making a simple play, and the worst case scenario happened. But now, I guess because if you're a fan of the Bills, maybe you just want to be a jerk about it. You want to sit here and blame T. Higgins, who I'm sure is probably crushed over all of this, because him trying to
I mean,
run
I
over,
mean,
I'm
I'm sure
like
he's.
him trying to run over Hamlin set this off. So in his mind, he's probably like, man, that kind of sucks.
I mean, like even though it's not his fault per se, I think he still feels a little bit of guilt. But then again, it's like just a little bit. I'm not saying it's all his fault, but like just some, he was distraught when I saw him.
I would say distraught. I don't think he'd feel guilty because he didn't do anything out of the ordinary. It's not. Like
No, I'm
was
just saying
running,
like he was damn. Like I wish things could.
But I'm saying like if he was running by, instead of stiff arming him, he like chopped him in the throat and then he went down because he couldn't breathe. Yeah, you'd feel guilty about that.
Yeah.
But just making a football move and then weird circumstance happen, I just feel like he's distraught over it. Bart Scott, who I think is a clown anyway, never could stand him on ESPN. Don't really listen to him, and now at this point, I'm kind of glad I don't. This section of the country that's now throwing the vaccine into all this miss me with all that as well, because
missing with that bullshit. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's like
bullshit.
sometimes people just, I don't know, they just want attention, and for all the
Like
wrong
why are
reasons.
people making it? Like I don't get why people make it from a. This game came from a Monday Night Football game where two of the best quarterbacks were playing against each other, to now an unforeseen, uncharted territorial injury, to stopping the game, and then on Twitter, people now it's making it political. Like, don't make it seem like
don't make it
At,
way more
like,
than what it needs to be.
especially if you're not it's
unforeseen circumstances.
People
just
who are
something
saying
happened
the
at the wrong
vaccine,
time.
y'all better not be mother freaking doctors, because like y'all don't know. Like if y'all just making stuff out. Like,
they're not doctors. It's just
Yeah,
the
they're
people
not.
who aren't vaccinated will never be vaccinated, and then if they hear somebody is vaccinated and then something happens to them, they make this
Man, that vaccine.
random connection where it's like, oh, it's because you took the vaccine. Now all this is going on with you, whereas I'm unvaccinated. Look, it didn't happen to me, so clearly I'm right.
yeah,
That's where all that is, and
bullshit. I call
people
bullshit on that.
are morons. That's what.
But I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, it's all about the brother, Damar Hamlin, man.
Yeah.
It's and the fact that I don't think the NFL, like I think me and you talked about it, Colin. Like I don't think, and I think Brett posted a picture of someone in the group chat saying that backing up my statement, saying how like the NFL they didn't even decide to pull the game. I mean, I think that they gave them 5 minutes to warm up, and then the players decided themselves to. But I think other news outlets made it seem like the NFL kind of made it in New York, but the players, I mean, it all came down to Zach Taylor and Doug McDermott or
Sean McDermott.
Sean McDermott to come out and do a mutual agreement to like call it quits. So
I
the fact that the
honestly
NFL
don't
didn't
have an issue with it going that way though,
of
because
going
the
on what
players, I mean,
Oh no.
no,
I
I'm
don't,
saying
hey,
I
if
don't
I
have
was
an
a
issue
player,
with the players being the
no, me
ones to
neither.
decide.
But I don't think the
game.
NFL decided that. I think that the players decided that. But they made it seem like
Well,
the
I
NFL
mean,
did it though.
yeah, I, that point doesn't bother me as much. It might bother some because, like I
Well,
said,
it does kind of
there's
bother me
been a
because
lot of
the NFL.
instances with serious stuff like this, and the game
Yeah.
continued. Ryan Shazier hit; he was paralyzed on the field.
But
They continued that game.
it does kind of bother me a little bit for the NFL side because, like, yeah, obviously it doesn't bother me with the players making because I feel that, yeah,
Yeah,
if I was a player,
they
but
have the power to do it.
being in the
Use
NFL,
that
you make.
power.
I mean, if you make a lot of money with the NFL, you see the ambulances coming out. Why give? I mean, come on, pull the game, NFL league offices. Like, it shouldn't have to come down to a team to team discussion. It should come out of the NFL. They've seen the analysts come out. They've seen him get put on the stretcher. They've seen the players' faces, distraught faces. Like, I wouldn't want to play. So I mean, I give them mad props for stopping the game, as you know. But the NFL need to do better with that. Like, you know what I'm saying? They need to, you know. But like I said, I'm all for the players.
Because I think the players are the ones who have to make that decision. The same way if the NFL pulled the game, but then we heard players after the game were like, I mean, I was ready to go back out there and play for my brother who's down. Then it'd be like, well, what was the league's right for pulling the game? So the league can say, we'll give you 5 minutes. In that 5 minutes, what the two teams did was the right way to use it. You don't have to go in your locker room for 5 minutes and be like, all right, we're going to go back out there. We're going to do this, this, and this, and this. They use the 5 minutes to be like, okay, you know, Zach Taylor, whatever, McDermott got together, was like, look, you guys want to play? We'll play. If you don't, we're good. McDermott was probably like, my guys are a wreck right now. Let's call it. And Zach Taylor's probably like, good.
I think both teams were a wreck, man. I think both teams were distraught.
But that's what I'm saying. It's just like, but I feel like, you know, you'd probably ask McDermott like how his guys are doing since it's one of his players. Yeah. That's probably the first question. But if McDermott came out and said, look, my guys are distraught right now, but they feel like they want to do it for Hamlin. They want to finish this game. They want to, you know, honor him as the player he is. They would have resumed that game last night. I have no doubt about it. And yeah, I don't care. League said for them to go out there and they didn't, whatever. But yeah, I mean, is there anything else we need to say about Hamlin other than obviously, you know, we're all thinking about him. You know, we hope that, you know, he can not even resume his playing career, but, you know, healthy enough to get out of the hospital, get back home to his family and all that. That's the only worry right now.
Yeah, that's good news on that. Yeah, he's breathing on 50% oxygen because usually I think at 100% that means like you need a machine. You can't breathe on your own, but 50% means you're kind of like breathing on your own. That's good, very good news to hear that. If that is a reliable, I think it's coming from his uncle, so that has to be a good source. So
right.
that's
yeah, you'd assume the uncle's like there at the hospital, and
yeah.
he's just not speculating over something he might have heard.
Oh no, I don't.
Yeah, if I heard it from family, I'd be like, I'm assuming the family's probably there and is giving like a legit update.
Oh, now he's saying that he had to be resuscitated twice after his heart gave out on the field. Damn, that's from Uncle too.
I mean, I guess that would make sense why it took 9-10 minutes. Yeah. So it could have been they got it 1 minute and then maybe let him breathe on his own for a little bit, and then maybe it stopped again, so they had to do it again. But I guess the last question before I guess we continue on the games or whatever, do you think they play games this weekend?
Hell no. Didn't they already confirm that, or that is the Bills and Bengals?
No, they said the Bills-Bengals game is postponed for this week.
See, I
and
don't
they're
know.
going to reevaluate everything as Hamlin's situation. Because they said they wanted to focus on only Hamlin right now. So I think technically next week is kind of in hold. But I was just saying, do you think any games are played this weekend?
With teams showing respect, like you said, no media, no practices. Like, I mean, we're supposed to play the Bengals either Sunday night. So they had really no team has practice. I don't see them playing this week. I don't. I would like them to play, but hey, I'm all about I'm a family oriented guy, so I want people to be 100%.
Well, I mean, yeah,
good. Yeah.
I feel like the league has made it known, like, if Hamlin is like whatever, then they won't play. I was just,
but now knowing that he's at maybe 50%, I mean, breathing, maybe things are going a little better. Maybe they can, ease the gas a little bit, or but then we'll just have to see. But it's Tuesday. I mean, I don't think there's any more Thursday night games anymore. I think Monday night was the last, Monday night.
Next week would only be Saturday and Sunday.
Saturday and Sunday.
Yep.
So, yeah, I mean, I don't. Depending on like if teams had practice tomorrow or media day, I don't see the teams playing. I'm all for pushing the Pro Bowl back, or not saying eliminate it, but kind of like push it back after, maybe like push it back a little bit. Again, I mean, it's only skill games. It's not
they
like
can work around the Pro Bowl. That's not the issue for them. The only issue would be, okay, so Brett's. I guess that's
I'll say Friday.
We'll know by
either
Friday.
Thursday or Friday. Thursday night to Friday. I think we would know. Because some teams that play Saturday, so I mean,
right. Well,
I would say
Saturday is 2 games, and then everything else is Sunday. So yeah,
Sunday. So I was assuming Thursday, or maybe even tomorrow, Wednesday, anytime this week prior to Saturday. I think we should know.
Well, man, it sucks.
But the question is,
it sucks. It sucks for both teams, like the Bills and the Bengals, because they're both playing teams that are in playoff implications for Week 18 as well, too. Because isn't the Bills playing the Patriots?
Yeah,
and then the Bills play the Ravens. So
yeah, that's just the crappy thing. It's
the
like
only
the
question
Bills
is
were playing like the Jets, and the Ravens and the Bengals were playing like, the Steelers, not the Steelers, I guess the Steelers system, but like the Browns, it'd be a little different. 2 teams who are already eliminated. But
and the only question is, I mean, do they, if they do decide to resume that game, like not this week, but like in the future or whatever, when things get better? I mean, do they keep the score at 3-7? Do they start over? Do they give them the?
No, they would have to probably just. They would probably just start it at 5:58, 3-7, and.
Yeah, they would literally resume it from the minute they stopped the game. So it'd be 3-7.
It'd be Bengals ball.
Or I heard they might just give both teams a tie and not play at all.
I don't like that with playoff seeding, because with that being said, like if Buffalo, like for example, won, like that changes a lot. The Bengals won, that changes kind of a lot with the seeding. If it's a tie, that kind of makes stuff a little weird.
Yeah, I don't see a tie. I see if they.
It's good that both teams clinched, though. Like, already have clinched playoff spots, so it's not like it really hurts so much. It's like the Bengals were 1 game out of the playoff, and they really needed to win that game to like increase their chances. That would suck, but both teams clinched, so they can have a little bit, I guess, leeway with the tie.
I mean, what they technically could do is treat the game no contest. Then. That way their seeding would kind of come down. Like if they played, so if the Bengals play the Ravens, Bills play the Patriots, whatever the outcomes are from that game, that's their last game of the season. Then you're using, if they have the same record, you go with the tiebreakers. Only thing you can't use head-to-head since that game didn't count, but you just use the tie-breaking procedure after head-to-head, and wherever it situates itself, you kind of go with it.
So at that point,
so everybody would play 17 games. The Bills and Bengals would play 16.
But so, like you said about the tiebreakers, I mean, in that case, the Ravens would own the tiebreaker with the Bengals. So I mean, that would could be beat. So how would that work? Like with other teams, if they just pause?
No,
like you said, head to head.
So what's their record? 11-4. Ravens are 10-6.
Plus, we beat them early in the season, so that would be the tiebreaker if we ended. Because
technically, if the Ravens were to beat the Bengals, they'd be 11-6.
If the Bills would have beat the Bengals, then the division game for us would be up in the air the last week of the game or week of the season. So, if the Bengals won, then it would have been like they'd have won it that night. So,
yeah.
I mean, if it has to do.
Well, I mean, like Dylan said, that's where the complications come in. Is that
I personally think they should just like make week 18 next week and just have just a week where the Bills and Bengals just play, just reschedule it. I don't know, man. They give every team a bye week.
Yeah, you just give
Just
them
give every team a bye week.
19. You give them week
I-
19, push the playoffs back a week, and yeah. But that may
I don't think there's any TV scheduling or anything like that will tell the NFL playoffs. Sorry guys, you guys had a date. Like
Yeah.
we can't show the
Yeah,
wild card.
most of these channels build their programming around the playoffs, so they'll figure it out. Some places where the Bengals and Bills get locked into specific seeds after this weekend and football is played. Yeah, that's what I was just about to say. Like if they play this weekend, let's say the Bengals beat the Ravens. At that point, the Bengals have the division, so the Ravens are out of the equation in terms of needing that game to be played. If the Bills beat the Patriots and like the Chiefs beat who the Chiefs play, the Raiders, I think they're stuck at 1, 2, and 3 basically. So at that point, you don't need to replay the game. The only way,
That's fine.
yeah, I feel like to the NFL, that's the easiest way to go about it. The only thing would be like if like the Chiefs lose to the Raiders, and now let's say the Bills beat the Patriots and they have a shot at the 1 seed, but would need to play the Bengals game to get their record ahead of the Chiefs.
See, that's just what gets
That's
me
where
because it's like then you're giving all those teams, wild card teams, a bye week basically while you wait for the Bills and Bengals to play.
Yeah.
And then it's like, for example, the Chiefs would have 2 weeks off, and do they like you know the perks about having a bye week? It's like, oh, you have that 1 week of rest, but having 2 weeks of rest, I'm not sure if there's anything that goes into that.
We'll see. The NFL's in a tough situation here.
Yeah, I think the NFL's goal right now is to see how they focus on Hamlin.
Yeah,
make sure he's right. But like, I mean, after that, I don't know how they're gonna do the seeding. I don't.
Yeah.
Because then Jacksonville, don't they play the Titans? So well, I mean, obviously Jacksonville will probably win that game and win the NFC or AFC South. But
You don't believe in Josh Dobbs?
Oh, gosh,
hell no.
Bro.
Yeah.
But then again, I mean,
They came out right away and said he's
there-
starting. So
there's some.
What if he
key-
win? What if he wins? Like you have to start him for the playoffs.
Yeah, there's some
Josh
key
Dobbs
matchups
playoff
for
run?
week 18. So it's division week. So I
yep,
mean,
all division games.
so NFL has their work cut out for once this settles down.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna be
But
interesting to see like what they do.
I'm glad the NFL said everything's on pause until whatever. And did you guys see the story about the GoFundMe?
Yeah.
We got like
Yeah,
five.
yeah, I
There's
think it was
something
at
like
20
5 million.
I think it
right
was at 25,000, and then now it's at before and then it was at like now it's at like something a couple of billion or a million or something like that.
Yeah.
like
I
5
think the last time I saw
million
last night was like 920.
And they said that
1,000.
somebody did a fake report saying it was for like the mom's daycare, but they said it was
now. It's
just
for
for
his
the
toy
kid.
drive.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
but
has
I
a
think
It's
toy
a
drive.
DeMar
I
Hamlin's
saw on
toy
Twitter it
drive.
was like the money was for his mom's daycare or whatever, but that wasn't true. It was for like the Toys for Tots or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Once again, people will come together and you know,
Bills Mafia didn't they when Lamar got hurt against the Bills didn't they sincerely give him money or do a GoFundMe page or when Lamar went down in the playoffs? So
Brett
they're
says, okay, so Brett said it's over 3 million last time he checked.
I thought it hit
Yeah.
5. I thought it hit 5, but it
Bills
might-
Mafia. I mean, they are
They are a
they,
special
they,
group.
they're
They're wild?
They're wild. They're annoying.
But they're
But
good
when it
people.
comes to like supporting people, like they support Lamar Jackson. And
They also troll too. They do
Yeah.
troll people because I think there was a year where I think Andy Dalton beat some team and got the Bills into the playoffs, and they like sent Andy Dalton a bunch of money for getting them into the playoffs or something like
Yeah.
that. Let's see. They did the same for Lamar.
Yeah, I
when he got hurt. Andy Dalton.
Do you think that was? Do you think they were
sorry,
trolling Lamar though? Maybe Danny Dalton though. Maybe Andy Dalton.
Hmm?
But like, do you think they were trolling Lamar and Andy Dalton?
No,
I
no,
know
the
Andy
Lamar
Dalton.
thing. The Lamar thing was legit. The Dalton
Yeah.
thing was trolling
Yeah,
because
they're
Dalton,
trolling. Yeah.
because Dalton got
Well-
them into the playoffs, so they sent Dalton
I
money.
know Andy Dalton. Andy Dalton also donated to the Hamlin's charity as well too.
Yeah, we'll see. Teams, players,
Yeah.
they'll all donate to.
JJ Watt probably gonna donate all. JJ Watt might. I think he might already contributed already.
A lot of them probably already have.
He's known for JJ Watt's known for those donations. So
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, even like Robert Kraft is known for being charitable because he was the guy
Yeah,
doing
sent
the
that
whole
fan to
COVID
the
thing. He
skybox
sent,
with him
like
too.
he hooked that guy up with that Raiders lady.
man, that guy, I give him that props for keeping his control, man. Like,
He knew why. Because if he touched her, it would have been, whew, he'd have
Over.
been in a lot of trouble. But she could get in his face, and it's like, oh, look at her. She's just a passionate fan. With him, if he just like tapped her and she flew back, now he becomes labeled a whatever. So, yeah, I give him a lot of credit too, because if she had done that with some guy who might have been drunk, could have gone differently. But
well, I mean, in that case, wouldn't he felt the offense if she like touched him first, or like any person?
Never. It's
But,
always weird with
it
those situations.
rarely works out that way. But yeah,
I mean, they got
Always
camera.
weird.
They got cameras, so it's not like he'd be lying.
That doesn't always
yeah,
matter.
it doesn't really matter. But yeah, I was glad Robert Kraft did that for him, and he got to sit right next to him in the box. It's pretty cool.
They weren't really talking that much though. They do it on his phone the whole time.
I mean,
Man, I would have been.
What do
like,
you really say?
I would have been gotten
though?
network. So like Robert Kraft, let me
he's
get
never
like
met Robert
let me
Kraft. Goes,
work.
so,
Yo, if I
how
was
much
me
money
being
it take for you to buy the team?
me being a sports guy, I'd be like, yo, how do I work for you, man? How can I like get those connections, man?
Well, I mean, the guy could have just been a quiet guy. Because, like I said, when the lady was all in his face, he
I
didn't.
mean,
really
I would have been
say
nervous
much
too. I would have
anyway.
been I would have been nervous as hell too. But like, I would have been like, hey, Robert Kraft, man, like, what's Tom Brady's number, man? Let me get
Yeah, kind of like what Brett's saying. Yeah, court of public opinion would never see it that way. But yeah, Kraft doing that
That's
was
messed
really
up,
cool.
but-
But yeah, like if I was that guy, I'd have been like, yo, this nice little box thing. I get, season tickets up in here. I come back next week, playoff game. What you got going on, Bob?
Have some dinner. Have some Bruce Chris.
You're like, where you going after the game? Hit the town. What you got going on? But him, he was just like, I'll sit here. I'll watch the game. I'll get on TV a couple of times. I'm good.
Yeah.
All right. I guess we do. Should we do picks since we
I don't
even
know. That's what I was thinking. I was like, should we do picks? Like, what's
No, I
what's
don't
the
think
deal? Like,
Yeah, I mean, if they play and we don't get picks in, I think that's fine.
yeah. So we can just
We
move
could,
on
like,
to
look at-
college.
Yeah, unless you wanted to say quickly the games that would interest you if they do play, because there are.
I mean, yeah. I guess yeah. I mean, so I guess you got like. I mean, I guess I could get on my little. I was gonna get on a little soapbox and talk about how I hated the NFL scheduling, but that's kind of
that's right.
besides the
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
It's kind of besides the point. All I will say is before all this happened, them scheduling Green Bay and Detroit as the late game on Sunday was the stupidest decision they could have made, and it should have been any other game. They should have had Seattle and Detroit play at the same time. That's the only thing I should say. If Detroit has to have Seattle lose and they beat Green Bay to make the playoffs, you need Seattle to play at the same time. And
I mean,
that
of
was
course-
right there for
Of course,
them.
Brett says yes. The Packers make the playoffs this weekend. Yes.
Yep. And I was kind of talking about in the chat, the Packers getting that late game kind of like wrote it off for me. Seattle making it. So it was hurtful. It sucked, but oh well. The NFL is going to do what the NFL is going to do.
Yeah.
Seattle will have a top 3 pick, and I'll move on to the next season.
Yeah. I mean, what game would you have flexed into that spot?
Probably the AFC South Championship. Like, how could you not have Tennessee Jacksonville, the Cincinnati Bengals game?
That game got Saturday primetime, 8:15.
That game could have easily
Wait,
got
the
Sunday
Bengals
prime time.
No, Saturday night is Tennessee Jacksonville.
Oh,
See, that could have been the Sunday prime time, and you literally could have made the Saturday prime time. Buffalo, New England, Baltimore, Cincinnati. And I would even put like Giants, Eagles in there.
Okay. Yeah.
And there's tons of games. All you needed to do is you needed Seattle and Detroit to play at the same time. That's all you had to do.
Right. I understand where you're coming from. Yeah. But like I said in the group chat, it's going to be an Aaron Rodgers love fest, that whole broadcast.
Yeah.
Just if they're winning, it's going to be about, where the Packers came from. And, I mean, it is an interesting turnaround, kind of like Detroit, where, that's why I was like, if Detroit were to pull that win off, even if they don't make the playoffs, let's say Seattle gets in anyway, that'd be a great way for Dan Campbell to end the year with a Lions team that exceeded so many expectations this year.
Yeah, I keep hearing every time I comment something related, well, there goes Seattle's chances. It's like Dan Campbell's that coach, he'll try to go out and win it. And I'm like, maybe, but also if I was a player, going into a game knowing I have a chance to make the playoffs, I'm gonna probably play a little bit different rather than going in knowing hey, even if I win this, I'm still going home after today. There's nothing after this.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Isn't the tiebreaker thing kind of weird between those three teams too?
Yeah, so basically if Seattle wins, there's a 0% chance Detroit can get in. But if Seattle loses and Detroit wins, Detroit gets in. But if Green Bay wins and Seattle wins, Green Bay has tiebreaker because they have better record in conference.
Yeah. Because I remember that guy on NBC, the Kornacki guy, who's the one who's on CNN with all his big boards and stuff. And it's Seattle has a 13% chance to make it, and they're in 7th. But Green Bay in 9th has a 60% chance of making it in.
Because all Green Bay has to do is win. Even if Seattle wins, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Hey, it's going to be interesting. Jordan, I already know the game you're looking forward to is Baltimore.
Yeah, I don't know about. I don't know what time we're playing now, because if the Bills would have won, we would have paid at 425. If they would have lost, we would have paid at 1.
I feel like they probably would have saved it to
425.
highlight one of the time slots. If you wanted to make them the highlight of the 1 o'clock window or the 425.
I say
look at the
425.
425 window. It's Chargers, Denver. Who cares? You got Giants, Eagles. Okay. Cardinals, Niners.
Let's
No.
still say TBD.
Seahawks are in the 4 o'clock window, and then you got Dallas, Washington. Even the 1 o'clock window. Tampa Bay, Atlanta. Who cares? New England, Buffalo is right now probably the highlight of the 1 o'clock window. Minnesota, Chicago, Houston, Indy, Jets, Miami. Miami still has a chance to get in.
Would there be 2 425 games? Because right now on Sunday there would be the first one would be
No, 425. There's already 5 games in that window. I was just saying they wanted to put Bengals, Ravens in the time slot where they could highlight that game for that time slot. And I think 425 might be the better window than the 1 o'clock. I think 1 o'clock, a lot of people will be looking New England and Buffalo.
Right.
Man, I hope with all this stuff going on, with all this stuff going on, this gives the NFL a chance to redo the schedule, in my opinion. It's the detriment that everything that's happened has happened so far. But with that being said, the NFL now has a chance to redo the schedule. So maybe hopefully
Ravens play Browns, or what do you mean?
I was saying time slots.
They have time to redo the schedule, saying they can redo the time slot. So hopefully they look at it and
Dylan wants Lions, Packers, same time as Seattle.
You have to. You just have to.
Yeah.
You have to, or you have the Lions Packers play first, or you have them play. If you want to give them a primetime game, give them the Saturday primetime game.
Right. Yeah, because at least if that way, Seattle's going into this week looking to win anyway. That's not the game you're worried about. Where, like Dylan said before, you have with Green Bay playing after. Even if Seattle wins, the Lions go into that game we have nothing to play for. And if they just lay down for the Packers to win, then Seahawks fans like Dylan will be like, well, we got screwed. Whereas at least if you play that game first, if the Packers win, well, then at that point, Seattle knows they can't.
But I would be rather more fine with that because, I don't know, because I'd rather the Lions want to play a lot harder going into their game rather than us if we don't make it. I guess if that makes sense, because I want the Lions to play their hardest because we need them to win to make it.
Yeah, Brett
So.
agrees. They should play. I feel like that's the way it should have been done. I mean, if Dylan gets his wish, maybe they look at it and go, "Oh, we made a mistake. We'll move. We'll move the one game that's still TBD into that primetime slot, and you'll get good viewership for Bengals Ravens. I mean, who wouldn't watch that? Not like the NFL's going to lose out there, but I don't know. Maybe they make some decisions because, yeah, with Cincinnati and Baltimore still being TBD, that could be their out to move Green Bay out of that spot, even though they. Well, yeah, I guess they said that they're going to flex them out for Cincinnati, Baltimore.
Yeah, I'm assuming they would have had time. They would already gave them that time for that game, but it still says TBD. So
I mean, maybe that is why it's still TBD. Because technically, if the Bengals won last night, Bengals Cincinnati wouldn't have mattered. So that's why it was TBD. But now, if they decide not to play the game, you could now move it primetime slot because now it means something again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe that is the change that's coming Thursday or something, and then Dylan could be like, "Good, justice."
The NFL does something right. We'll see.
Yeah. So we don't, like I said, we don't need to do picks or anything. Oh, here.
I hope not.
Yeah, we're not good. The NFL will mess up the
I
regional
hope
schedule.
Fine by it. Honestly, give it to me. As long as Detroit and Seattle play at the same time, I'll watch it. I'll watch Cleveland, Pittsburgh prime time. Give me Kenny Pickett in prime time.
I mean, there would be a reason to watch to see can Tomlin keep up his streak
the
of
playoffs.
the Steelers need the Patriots to lose. I'm trying to think if the Dolphins actually matter to them. I think it's just the Patriots need to lose and Steelers need to win. I think they get in. I think they have the tiebreaker over.
Well, they play the Bills, right? So they probably could lose the Patriots.
Yeah, they could.
Oh, you're not fighting that? you don't have no fighting chance of your team, man.
No, I just said they could. Yeah, they could. Buffalo is definitely a tough team to play.
Yeah. Wait, where's that at? Is that New England or
It's in Buffalo. Yeah.
Yeah, fuck. Yeah.
I mean, the defense will come to play. The question will just be offensively, what do you get? And I saw.
So actually, looking at the tiebreakers, the Steelers would need Miami to lose.
Oh, so they lose the tiebreaker too. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
Miami plays a Jets team that's been eliminated. How motivated will they be? I don't know. Bridgewater was hurt in the Patriots game. I think he dislocated a finger on his throwing hand. So would he be available? Would they have to play Skylar Thompson in a game that they need? I mean, Skylar Thompson didn't look too bad against New England. He threw a nice touchdown pass. He can scramble a little bit. I mean,
Quit trying to hype up Skylar Thompson.
Hmm?
I was like, quit trying to hype up Skylar Thompson.
I'm not hyping him up. I'm just saying, if they had to go into that game with him against the Jets team that's not really motivated,
That
maybe
last
he could
spot's
steal
going to be
them away.
really interesting. That last spot's going to actually be really interesting with, like, if Tua was playing and, like, Tua didn't have any concussion issues and he was going into the week just completely healthy, like,
Miami
kind
would
of be like,
kind of good.
yeah,
right?
you kind of be like, Miami's got it. Like, hey, Tomlin, at least you're going to, like, get your record. Like, Bill Belichick, like, hey, man, sorry, it sucks. Like, finishing 8-9 is pretty good for this team. But, like, now that Tua's not playing, like, the the Patriots are kind of like, ooh, like, we're still alive in this one. Like, let's not think Miami has it in the bag. And the same with the Steelers. Like, they kind of have to, like, go into this game like we could be making the playoffs. Like, if New England definitely the Steelers got the best end of it. Like, because New England still got to play Buffalo, and then the Dolphins have an injured quarterback going against an upset Jets team.
Right. And the Steelers just have to get by Cleveland. I mean, Watson was, I guess, okay last week, but
I mean, I guess it's a little bit of a worry. The Browns seem like that team, like, they don't care, like, they're just going to upset you just because they can do it.
well, at least for them, with Watson still coming back. There's a reason to play just to see if they can
No.
get some of the Houston Texan Watson in, at the end of this
Just the
season.
ring rust.
Yeah, that way they look at next year like, okay, we can do this. Skylar Thompson versus Michael White. What a time to be alive. Yeah. Gotta cherish
And
it.
just to think, last week both those dudes had Skylar Thompson does, but like both those dudes had a chance to make the playoffs.
Yeah. NFL season never disappoints. Okay. I mean, we can use the last bit of the show. College football,
Yes.
bowl games, the playoff games were. I mean, they were
Good.
just incredible. Yeah.
Oh, they were, yeah, for sure. But the way that Georgia game ended, perfect time with the New Year's Eve.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. I saw a lot of different stuff. Like people are like, right when the ball like missed and hit the ground is when the ball dropped. And I was like, if you're an Ohio State fan, like that must have been painful. But as a Georgia fan, that must have been like perfect.
Okay, so Brett thinks Carr is going to be with the Jets
I do
next
too.
year.
I do too. People say the Colts, and I feel like the Colts is a horrible place for him. I feel like the Colts
I'm
should
Derek
stop
Carr.
renting
I-
quarterbacks.
If I'm Derek Carr, I
Colts need
don't
to-
want to go to the Colts.
And no, the Colts need to stop renting quarterbacks and just get a rookie. Like, I don't care if you have a good team now. When has
Yeah.
renting a quarterback worked for you lately? Like, you literally you've seen these rosters now. Like, you just need your quarterback to play a year, and then the second year they're going to be fine. If he's good, they're going to be fine by the second year. So,
Irsay. I mean, I get the renting the quarterbacks because he thought for those years they were just a quarterback away from being a Super Bowl team because of the
Phillip
defense
Rivers.
and all that.
Matt Ryan.
But at this
Nick
point,
Foles.
I feel like seeing with Foles and Ryan, the team has a lot of holes on it. They don't have a good head coach right now. So hopefully,
Funny thing
Irsay
about
can,
that too, it's like it's not even so much like you can see a lot more glaring holes on the team. It's also because the quarterbacks you've put on that team just have sucked as well too.
Yeah.
It's like Jordan Love. I like Jordan Love. I like Jordan Love a lot. I like.
But at least
I'm a-
at least he's a young guy. If you traded for him, we'd be like, okay, we understand. You want to develop Jordan Love and grow with him. But yeah,
I'm
if
a
they
big
turned around and was like,
advocate of like if there's young stars that need to be moved, get the young
Yeah.
stars first before you draft. Like
Yeah.
I want to see the talent that's already in the league get a spot first. Like let me see if they can play first. If they can't play, then cool, draft a guy. But let me see if they can play first. Let me give a season of Jordan Love before I write him off and be like, well, draft a quarterback. So I like that.
right, you don't
I think
want to
every
turn around
NFL
to the
player
Colts
deserves a
trade,
spot. It does. I think NFL, not unless you're like really bad, but every NFL player deserves at least one shot to be a starter. Like I think everyone deserves some starting minutes.
I mean, like I said, you wouldn't want to see the Colts like turn around and be like, "Oh, Colts have acquired, I don't know, Sam Darnold." Well, Sam Darnold isn't necessarily old, but you'd be like, "What's the plan with Sam Darnold?"
The Colts just need to like get on YouTube and watch just Will Levis mixtapes and just stay there. Like if you need to watch some CJ Stroud ones to make you feel better, watch some CJ Stroud ones.
That's another name there. If Bears are really dumb enough to think they need another quarterback besides Fields, Colts need to call tomorrow.
Oh yeah. If Justin Fields is like an available option, he should be the first option you
Yes.
go to.
Yes.
Like not even anybody in the draft. Like if you had an option to get Bryce Young and you see Justin Fields there, I'd be like, I'm probably take Justin Fields.
Definitely agree.
And that's not to say Justin Fields is better or will be a better quarterback than Bryce Young. I'm just saying like if Justin
We've
Fields
seen
can get out of there and
in a situation-
a team willing to trade him, like you could probably get him for probably a little bit cheaper.
Yeah.
'Cause no matter what, if you trade Fields, you could probably get him for a second. You're not going to get tons of firsts for him.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of the NFL too, I think Adam Schefter. I just saw a video on Saturday. He was saying how like they did to kind of like push off the Bills and Bengals game, but they said he said Week 18 games they're gonna play them, so I'm not sure. But he said the schedule was updated, but they said the ESPN still has the time TBD for the Ravens Bengals, but they said all other
So
uh,
if
teams.
you said that they updated the schedule, maybe check NFL.com, see if they have it updated.
Yeah, 'cause
ESPN, it might take a little bit for them to
probably then gonna get there before me, but he's already on. He's already on his phone.
I mean, how long ago did he
He's
say
already
that?
on it, bro.
How long ago did he say that the NFL updated the schedule?
I'm not. I just saw a video on Twitter. I'm not sure if it was from Adam or but he was saying how Roger Goodell sent the email out and the Buffalo Bills game and then got called off. But they said they might go back to that game later on. But right now they don't have plans on doing it. But
Yeah, it seems like it's kind of just still the same right now. Maybe they haven't updated it. It just says the Bengals Ravens game is still to be TBD. So
yeah, but
So
they
maybe
said
they've
all
updated
games
it. Maybe they updated it internally. They just haven't published it yet.
yeah,
Yeah.
So maybe we'll see that
So
tomorrow.
I guess all teams are playing. I guess Saturday, Sunday. I think is unless teams.
I mean,
decide
maybe
not to.
the update from the uncle makes people feel better about the situation, and they can. I'm sure if they do play before every game, you'll get some moment for Hamlin.
Oh yeah,
So,
like a tribute.
you know, round of applause for him or moment of silence type of thing. To
Yeah, I think some of the hockey teams that did that tonight, like some of the Capitals, I think Sabres did it before their
yeah,
game.
the sports world's gonna they'll do everything they can, you know, each day for him. And that's kind of the good thing about sports is like
We
a lot
all
of these
rally behind.
cities where a lot of these sports are played, you know, a lot of the athletes cross paths with each other, and yeah, it's just really cool to see. So college football. Well, I guess before we talk about the games, you seen this thing about Jim Harbaugh? You guys think he stays in Michigan or he gets an NFL job next year?
I don't think he stays.
I mean, he's been in the NFL before, so why not take another
I don't think
shot
he
at it?
stays. I don't think he stays. I feel like if Michigan won their game, like he'd probably be like, I'm willing to stay. You know, this is the national championship team. I'm here. Like, I lost to TCU, so you know the first team to lose to a Big 12 team in the college football playoffs. You know, Oklahoma was 0-3, sadly. But with that being said, you know, yeah, I think he leaves. He's been in talks with the Panthers. I feel like, you know, if that Charger spot becomes open, that becomes a little enticing. You know, maybe if the Chargers still make the playoffs and they're like, hey, Staley, like, you still sucked. And drop him
I
off.
think the Chargers job is the one Peyton wants. And if
Yeah,
Peyton wants that
I
one,
also
Peyton
agree.
gets that job easily.
Man, what's some
I
other
see
jobs?
Harbaugh, New Orleans.
I don't. I don't feel like I
Um,
feel like the Kamara situation's too risky there. You don't really have an answer at quarterback. I feel like that Saints job is just a job that's will lead you to nowhere right now.
I mean, if they gave him that job, got to draft a young quarterback, they gave him some years to develop one. I mean,
Maybe
you have a defense you can work with.
I think you just want to go into a situation where it's I don't know. Maybe there's more. I don't know. That Saints gives me a lot of questions because you don't even know if you're going to have Kamara next year. It's like he didn't get suspended for his off the field stuff this year, but he probably will next year. So
With the
Yeah, I feel
Cardinals
like
job, interesting. Because we assume Kingsbury's gone.
I think so. I feel like it'd be very interesting. He could make it work. They would need a lot of defensive help. They need a lot of defensive help there, and definitely some offensive line help there. But I think it'd definitely be an interesting spot.
Okay.
Not sure if you want to coach against the 49ers all the time again, but
I mean, whether or not he could get the best out of Kyler Murray remains to be seen, because I think that's where a lot of people have issues with Kingsbury. It's just that Kyler Murray needs a coach who's going to get on him and make sure he's whatever, and they think kind of like Kingsbury might be trying to be too buddy with him or whatever. Kid gloves with him, I don't know. Hold on. Brett says the Chargers and Broncos. I didn't even think about the Broncos job.
Are good. Yeah,
are
I
good
forgot about the
jobs.
Broncos.
Broncos have a league defense. Russ hopefully plays better than this year, and he has some weapons. Chargers have Herbert, tons of offensive firepower.
The Broncos are definitely going to be a spot up there. I feel like if the Broncos said they're going to do everything to get their coach, and if Harbaugh's their coach, and if he's slightly interested in joining the NFL, and if he's slightly interested in joining the Broncos, I feel like the Broncos are going to be able to throw him a number that he likes enough to join them.
Yeah.
I mean, that'd be interesting. This offseason, you had Sean Payton and Harbaugh join the AFC West. Once again, the AFC West would be the talk of the offseason, like this past offseason. But yeah, that'd be interesting. Andy Reid, Harbaugh, Peyton. I mean, McDaniels, I guess, is the
Oh,
outlier.
I was gonna say, what
He's
about
not even going to be there. If McDaniels goes, the Raiders is an interesting job. I
Oh,
feel
damn
like.
it. I was gonna say that. I was gonna say that too. Yeah.
I could see Harbaugh in silver and black.
Man,
He
yeah.
seems like a Raiders type of guy.
I feel like he'd keep Carr if that was the case.
Yeah, I mean, Carr would probably love to play for Harbaugh. I feel like if
Yeah, I
McDaniels
think
has
so,
a job, yeah, Carr wants out.
I don't know. Stidham played nice. So I guess we can't really talk too much crap on Stidham. He might be. He, I don't know he did great against that 49ers defense. That makes me does question like, is Derek Carr really the problem? Like Stidham came in there and lit them up.
Or is it just that Stidham's another one of those guys where
You can
know,
just
you
throw him
bring
in
him
1
in,
week of the
he'll-
season and he's gonna go
he'll
crazy.
look good 1 week. If he plays like 3-4 weeks, you'll be like, okay, this is why this guy's a backup. Never know. But yeah, so looking at the games, what games you guys want to talk about before I guess we talk about the playoff? Any other bowl games that have caught your attention so far? I mean, we saw
I guess
Tulane game. Karn Adams probably gone for the Raiders, not exactly enticing job. Unless if they get Brady or some elite option.
Well, I thought Adams was on their contract though. I guess maybe he did sign a 1-year
they
contract.
can still trade him. They can still trade him.
Yeah, they can.
Hey.
Because if they said Adams is available, yeah, they'll get an offer that will make them.
They can work it out to where like teams can take specific amount of salaries and help them out. Yeah, but yeah, I mean some college games that were interesting. I mean yesterday we had the Cotton Bowl. That was pretty interesting. Tulane upset USC. I was pretty happy about that. That was like always when non-power 5 schools beat the Power 5 schools. So that was a good game. The Rose Bowl was yesterday. Penn State handled Utah pretty comfortably. Cam Rising got injured. Utah started quarterback, so like pretty early on in the game. So that kind of shifted the momentum. I mean, can't go on without mentioning the Sugar Bowl, Alabama K-State. That was a good game as well. Bryce Young kind of had his good send-off moment. Since he couldn't know Alabama in the playoffs this year, he definitely had a good send-off moment for that being his final game. Him and Will Anderson both declared. Orange Bowl was boring. Tennessee smacked Clemson. The Gator Bowl was fun to watch. I didn't think a game where Notre Dame and South Carolina were playing was going to be super interesting, but I enjoyed actually really watching that game. That was a fun game to watch. But yeah, I mean, TCU upset Michigan. Going on to the national championship to play Georgia, where I'm going to be voting for TCU all the way because screw Georgia. So, yeah.
I mean, imagine the committee could have had a situation where TCU and Ohio State could have pulled upsets, would have had a championship game, TCU Ohio State, which a lot of people probably, I don't know if I could find one person who would have picked that matchup as a final. And
how do y'all feel about the Michigan quarterback at the presser? The way he answered the question is, "Oh, we'll be here next year." I mean, did you see that presser? Do you think that was kind of like?
I mean, if you're at Michigan, shouldn't you kind of have that mentality that you'll be back in the
Harbaugh not going to
playoffs?
be there?
Yeah, that's the thing. Is your coach going to be there? I feel like you should be worrying about that a little bit more. If everybody stays, I feel like Michigan's one of those teams that can just run it back easily, especially if you have the same quarterback. I mean,
They did come back. They tried to do a comeback, but
I mean, one of their best. I mean, they had a lot. Like my thing with Michigan is they had injuries when they shouldn't have it, and then they had like one of the worst red zone offenses ever. Like one of their biggest questions throughout the season was like, man, this team cannot perform in the red zone. Like they'll need to do that if they were going to win a national championship. And every time they made it to like the red zone, it felt like they couldn't do anything. It was like it's either 4th and goal by the time they would score something.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean,
So
if I'm a Michigan player, you're in the Big Ten. Normally, the Big Ten comes down to you and Ohio State. I feel like you kind of feel like you will be back there next year. If all things considered, it might be up to the committee if you don't actually win the Big Ten. But I think, yeah, they'll be right there in the conversation at least. At least they should be. So to say that, I mean, yeah, it doesn't sound, good coming off of a loss where you were the favorite, but I'm not that mad at that. Let me see. So you talked about two. Yeah. I mean, you kind of mentioned all the good games that really did happen. All right. So for the final, what you think? I mean, Dylan already said he's rooting TCU hard
I have
because
to go with Georgia, man. Georgia. I mean, even though Georgia kind of, I mean, Ohio State almost came back on a field goal. I mean, even though I'm an Alabama fan, I mean, I lived in Georgia. I went to kindergarten there, so I kind of lived near, like, you know, so I'm kind of rooting for the home. I guess what did I go? I think I went to kindergarten and first grade in Georgia. So I'm going for Georgia.
that's so from being in Atlanta, the amount of years I have, that's the SEC mentality right there. If your team's not there, they'll always root for their conference. You know?
I mean, that's kind of what I'm doing. I'm the Oklahoma guy, so I see a team in the Big 12 in there.
I
And
mean, you're in
it's like,
Atlanta.
go with team from the
Kyle,
Big
so you
12.
tuned in Georgia.
It just seems weird to me because if I was like a Georgia fan or if I was an Alabama fan, I'd be like, I don't want Georgia to win a
Yeah,
championship.
that's true.
But
Yeah,
SEC,
because now
I always hear
every time
it.
you play Alabama, now every time Georgia plays Alabama, they can be
I
like,
just
we
see
got two
Georgia-
natties.
I just
Where's
see-
your guys' at?
I just see Georgia just destroying TCU. Like, it's crazy. I mean,
I feel like you're
I don't
gonna
think it's a
underestimate
distraction.
TCU. That's like at your
I don't
own
think
risk.
I don't think it's a distraction, man. Because man, I don't know. Hey, I said this about TCU. If
When is that
TCU
game?
gets
Is that
to a
next week?
point, like TCU is that team that's like I said yesterday, not yesterday, but when they played, like they're gonna drop 50 on you. Go ahead and drop 40 on us. We're fine dropping 50 on you. Like,
Yeah.
beat the crap out of our defense. We're gonna beat the crap out of yours, and that's gonna be the problem because Georgia is very stout
really
on
good
defense.
defense,
They're
yes.
very good on defense.
Yeah.
So, but man, I said Big 12 is the adrenaline conference. You give them any sort of momentum, they're going to go with it. Like, they're going to make your defense look like it's a Big 12 defense if you give them momentum. And you're going to play their type of game where shootout, like we score a touchdown, you score a touchdown. We're just going to hope to score more than you and wait for you guys to mess up on offense.
that's Monday night, next Monday. That game.
Yeah, the ninth. Yeah.
I
Yeah,
can't wait to
college
get my
sports
TCU national championship shirt. I hope TCU wins it. I hope TCU wins it so bad. I just want to see something different. Show me a different team.
Like I said, it would be a great story to see TCU pull it off. You know,
Sonny
upsetting
Dykes better
two
get a
big-
memorial they already better get the Sonny Dykes statues ready at TCU if he wins. His first
Yeah.
year as a head coach, he wins a natty. Give
Mhm.
him
Yeah.
everything. Like he
Duggan-
already has he
Duggan
already
will be
probably
a
has a good
legend.
contract with TCU. He probably has a good contract with him. Double it. Want a natty, just double it. I bet that wasn't in the clause. You guys didn't expect that with him coming there.
I mean, it could happen. Like I said, you want to doubt TCU? Go ahead. I mean, they've shown they can fight and they can put up points quickly.
So y'all think
Even-
TCU upset Georgia? Or you think it's going to be?
I think Georgia wins, but I see it being like a really close game, and I think TCU is going to push Georgia to the brink. Georgia's going to need a
I mean, Ohio
good
State,
performance
I
from
mean,
Bennett. Stetson Bennett's going to have to keep up with Duggan in that offense.
Yeah, man, the crazy thing about that game is TCU's defense wasn't bad in parts. TCU's defense was playing big in some moments, and that Georgia offense isn't really the greatest. They have a good offense, but it's they're not really filled with
It's not like past Georgia teams where
big
it's
name weapons.
Yeah,
It's
Georgia
where
would
it's
kill
not
you in
it's
the
not like an
passing
Ohio
game and
State
running.
where they got Marvin Harrison Jr. and Jackson Smith. It's not like in Alabama where they've had their receivers over the years. It's that Georgia offense is they're pretty good, slow, methodical. We're going to run the ball on you, pass the ball to our tight ends type
Right.
stuff.
Yeah, and with an offense like that against a TCU team, it could take a simple turnover, and TCU can just get rolling.
Exactly. I mean, they had that two. Those they had one was I know they had one pick six for sure, but didn't they have a second?
I think so. Yeah, it seems
But
like
there's-
a
I
pick
mean,
six or
yeah.
like a fumble. Yeah, I think it was a pick six.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
Yeah,
they had
it's-
that pick six, and that changed everything. It was
Exactly.
just boom, TCU's up by 2 scores, and I was dang,
Yeah.
that's. Oof.
Yeah. Yeah, for Georgia, you coming in as a favorite. If they find themselves down 2 touchdowns, then they may start pressing. Stetson Bennett might try to do more than he can. And who knows? We'll have to see if Kirby Smart is the type where he could coach a team that was probably looking at this game like, oh, we got this, another back to back. And if they get crushed like that, can he build them back up? And but it's gonna be an interesting game. Yeah, like I said, I think Georgia wins it. I think it's gonna be much closer than people think. I feel like Duggan and that TCU team, they're gonna leave it all out there. And I agree with Dylan for the knock on the Big 12 that defense is like optional. I feel like their defense has a lot of speed on it. They kind of converge on the ball, and who knows? Maybe they just hang around long enough with Georgia that maybe Duggan just has to put together one fourth quarter drive to win it for him. And I think for a lot of fans, especially with the extended playoff coming down the line, seeing TCU win may not be a bad thing.
No, I feel like that literally makes the committee feel like, man, we should put this in next year. Man, imagine it'd suck next year if TCU got this close and lost the national championship by one possession just for them not to make it the next year, being 11-2 or something like that. That would suck.
Yeah.
So, man, I don't get why they can't put it in now. There's no TV programming or anything or any TV contract in the world where anyone's going to deny more college football games, especially with that atmosphere. So I get there's probably a bunch of legal stuff that we don't know about, a bunch of stuff that they probably can't break that does prevent something like this. But as a fan, it's just put it in now. I want to see more matchups. I want this to matter more, especially with Tulane upsetting USC. It's
I was about to say, yeah,
Tulane is that
Power 5 playoff game right there, and
that would have been a playoff game.
In their mind,
yeah, Tulane would have been moving on to the semifinals. Would have been semis, quarters of the college football playoffs.
Yeah.
Crazy. Tulane versus Alabama. Book it.
Yeah, college football let us down, man. Got to wait a whole other year. But like you said, it's probably bowl situations and sponsors or
there's
whatever.
There's tie-ins every year. It's
working out the schedule and all that. Yeah, that's probably what the delay is. But,
Yeah.
I mean, I think we've
it doesn't
kind of
help
got
that every
everything.
team is jumping conferences too.
Yeah.
That doesn't make it easier.
Right, yeah, and there's probably going to be more to come once the playoffs are over because I saw
we got a new Big 12, Big UC-USA. Yeah, we have teams moving up, from relegation, from not relegation, but teams practically moving up relegation. Becoming Division I and Power 5, non-Power 5 conferences. You're having teams jumping ships, moving to different conferences. We're gonna have a brand new Big 12 where Cincinnati, even next year, Cincinnati, Houston, UCF, I think are all in the Big 12 next year. So it's Oklahoma and Texas haven't even moved yet, and they're gonna be playing those teams.
Yeah, it's still gonna be weird to see UCLA and USC in the Big 10.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I that always keeps getting foreshadowed.
Is that going to be all across football, basketball, every? Oh wow! Speaking of Big Ten, Rutgers is up Purdue.
I hate it. I hate it. I hate all this movement, but I like it at the same time. I like seeing good teams play each other, but I just don't like the geological alignment of it.
Yeah.
I liked all the teams in the Pac-12 kind of all being close to each other. All the teams in the Big 12 kind of geologically all being close to each other. Now it's you got someone in California playing someone all the way in Michigan now. And it's kind of
Speaking of Big Ten, Rutgers just knocked off Purdue again.
They did. I saw that.
Oh, yeah.
Number one in basketball.
I was at the first game they upset them when Ron Harper hit the game winner. I was actually at that game when he hit the game winner, and they were down half the game, and Ron Harper just did his thing. And then I think I went to the game where they played Compton State. That was an easy win. And then I'm not a Rutgers fan, but my friends are, and they went to Purdue. To face them at their house, and they knocked them off again. So does Rutgers have their number? I don't know.
Number one team in basketball. So.
That dude Iggy, man.
Rutgers basketball, though. Rutgers basketball, they always upset everybody. They upset everybody all the time.
Yeah, but I think now my friend said they after Compton State they have in conference games now, but that first one was Purdue, so
I
We're
mean,
getting to the
their
in-conference basketball season.
their
Oklahoma
football
almost
team
knocked
is,
off Texas.
yeah, their football team is not as great as the basketball team, obviously, but I mean, they got some like Cliff, number 11, the center. He's nice. Yeah, man, they're nice.
yeah. I mean, I feel like for me, once college football is over,
That's when you
'cause
start getting into
I've seen
basketball.
I've seen college basketball like a little here and there, but I haven't like been fully into it yet.
Yeah.
But especially with conference play starting up, that's usually when I kind of get into it because I could see, you know, Duke destroy some random team, but if it's like Duke, Carolina, Duke, Clemson, it's like okay, now
These
we're
games
starting
worth
to
a
play.
watch.
Yeah. So that's kind of when I start paying attention to a lot of college basketball. So coming weeks, college basketball will kind of work its way into our show more and more. Then once we get to
March
March,
Madness time. Whoa.
once we get to March, it's like, whew.
Give me my 15 seed upsets.
I mean, yeah. I mean, now you kind of have to think about it because it was like before it'd be like, oh, 116, oh, you never pick those. 215, but now it's like, yeah, you kind of have to pick them every once in a while because it's more likely to happen now than even before for some reason. Because before, like the old upset was always 12-5. Everybody was on 12-5 upsets.
I'm still on 12-5 upsets. They annoy me.
But I'm just saying, like that used to be the upset you picked, but now you have to worry about 13s beating 4s because it happens all the time.
What was it? 7 and 12? I think it's 7-12. 8-9. Yeah, I think it's 7-12.
8-9.
That one gets me. No, it's 5-12.
Oh,
So
7-10.
it'd be 7-10. 7-10.
Yeah.
That one gets me all the time too.
Yeah. And 8-9s are always the worst because it's like they're literally like the same team trying to pick a winner there, but usually that team loses to the 1 seed, so you don't really feel bad about that. Yeah. But it's always like that 7 seed that like makes them lead 8, and you're like, oh, I didn't see that coming.
There's that one double-digit team that's somehow in the Final Four, and you're like, okay.
Right. There goes my bracket.
My bracket's usually done after the first day.
I'm usually good the first weekend.
Yeah, I'm usually good.
There's a couple brackets I can get like the first weekend down, like the first round. I think last year I did have a bracket where I got the full complete first round, like round of 32, and I think the first game in the second round busted it. So I was like, God damn. I was like, well, I want that.
Yeah.
That's what you love about March Madness. But yeah, I guess we can kind of do final thoughts. Anything you want to talk about before we get out of here?
No, just hopefully DeMar Hamlin recovers and has a healthy recovery. That's first and foremost. Hopefully, his family is good and his mom is better, a little bit better, can feel a little comfort now. He's kind of having his breathing back. I think Uncle said he's still on the ventilator still, but he's now starting to breathe on his own, so that's good. This is a good first show of the new year, man. Starting off with a bang.
Yeah, definitely everything that transpired yesterday kind of not ruined, but I would say definitely changed the flow of what we were going to. I think we were probably going in this thinking we were going to have a win into that Bills-Bengals game, and a little bit more to talk about when it comes to our picks.
I was tuned into that game for sure.
Yeah, but everything's on a pause.
With that first pass, it was like a pass for interference, and then they were moving the ball down the field, the Bengals, and then Josh Allen got it. I mean,
I know. I was getting in. I was like, I fell asleep.
Diggs was going off a little for a couple catches. He was.
I ended up working right till the game started, and I was like, man, I'll wake up at halftime and pick it up from there because I needed T. Higgins to start doing good in that game because it was my fantasy championship, and then I woke up and it was game paused, still first quarter delayed, and I thought it was a weather delay or something like that. And then I looked more and I was like, oh man, this is actually really serious. Mm-hmm. And then I was just scrolling through all my notifications and I was like, oh man, something serious did happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a weird night all around. We already talked about that, but studio people were just like, what do we do? They kept kicking it to poor Joe Buck and Troy Aikman. They were just like, got nothing for you. We're kind of up here waiting too. And after a while, I think people were just like, okay, should ESPN just cut programming and show something else? Or I mean, I have no problem with the Schefter Booger McFarland because they kind of treated it like every one of us watching at home is just like, yeah, there's a game, but we're kind of worried about this guy. So I thought they did really well there, and for Aikman and Buck in the situation that they were in, I thought they did as well as they could.
I mean, it's just I think people got to realize in those type of situations, even like them announcers, like they're humans, like they're just kind of like they get told what to do at their jobs, like we do most of the time. So it's just like they're kind of just like I don't know, man. Like they usually got a teleprompter telling us what to say, or we usually got stat sheets. Like these are not situations we're normally trained for.
Right. Yeah, I think people were just like, "Oh, Buck and Aikman will keep us updated." It's like, well, they're just gonna know as much as we do. Just that they're on TV.
They're literally on their phone waiting for Schefter to tweet to tell them.
Exactly.
Right.
But yeah, like you said, Jordan, it was a great show for 2023.
Yeah.
We got that momentum going, and just gonna continue for the whole year. Appreciate Brett and other people in the chat. I mean, Brett kind of dominated the chat tonight, but
he always does, man. Need some new faces in here, man. New faces.
David, I feel like that David Burns, the one from Cedar Hill, isn't that the guy who challenged us to Madden? I feel like I've seen that name before on one of our shows.
I hope
Blue City
he don't
Empire.
want that smoke, man.
Yeah. Now that I'm thinking about it, I feel like that's the same person. But
Greg, Greg. I mean, I think that's Dylan's stepdad, I believe, right?
Well, it's my foster dad.
Yeah, he's always welcome in the comments. He didn't go at any of my teams today, so that's a win. But I mean that's kind of it. I think Jordan did his final thoughts. Dylan, something I let you do yours.
I mean, I mean, it's getting to the sad part of football season. College football's getting to finishing up. We're getting to last week, NFL before the playoffs. So football's winding up. Baseball's been winded up for a little bit. So it's really kind of our basketball grind, and then whatever news happens until the seasons start up again. So it's going to be interesting. Definitely going to have to keep our eyes a lot more on basketball, college and NBA, and then whatever else is going on in the world of sports. So sucks. Definitely don't like when football ends, but it gets to the good off-season portion. I said the draft time is my favorite part of the year, so it's going to be excited to see what's going on there.
There's always going to be something to talk about with NFL, so we're covered there.
Yep.
I guess the point where we have to kind of use baseball to carry it, that might get rough, but we'll see when we get there. But so it's another Tuesday night in the books. On behalf of Jordan and Dylan, Kyle Edwards, of course, and this is another episode of the Big Three Podcast, and we're here every Tuesday night, 7 p.m. So make sure you guys tune in and hit subscribe button because Sports Empire Network's got a lot going on. There's a lot to come. So you don't want to miss out. A lot of great people on the network, a lot of great shows. And so for everybody, have a great night. And prayers up for DeMar Hamlin.
Yep. Yes, sir.